Hello, everyone, and welcome to an awesome show that we have today on the Twitch streaming meta. We're going to be on the front page any second now. So if you guys join us from there, feel free to come over and join in on the discussion. We have an awesome panel lineup for you guys today to talk about basically how it is to stream on Twitch now and, tips and tricks for those that are just starting out or are at various stages in their Twitch journey. So let's do some introductions before we get into the meaty topics for today. Starting with Misha, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're all about.
Okay, hi, I'm Misha. MischaCrossing on Twitch and pretty much everywhere else. I stream full time. I am a queer content creator that I stream mostly Nintendo and story-driven adventure games and a lot of Dead by Daylight recently. I'm really obsessed with it. But strive to have a really inclusive and cozy space where we can talk about anything and lift each other up. And yeah, that's me. Also, I do tabletop RPG stuff as well.
Dylan, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Dylan of TheOrderOfDylan. I've been streaming on Twitch for a little over a year. We celebrated our 1-year stream anniversary in May. I primarily built my channel around Star Wars, as you can see all this geeky stuff behind me. But we recently kind of pivoted to being a Knockout City streamer, and we actually got partnered with Knockout City and be a member of their creator crew, which has been an awesome opportunity, and it's meant amazing things for the channel. I also have been diversifying, doing more things, and doing some IRL streaming. We just got back from Disney World. We did streams from Magic Kingdom and Epcot, and it was like so much fun. So we have a really fun vibe to our channel. Keep it family friendly, PG-13 for the kids, and we're doing a lot of cool, innovative things over on the channel. So hope to see you there.
That's awesome. And last but definitely not least, Nikatine, what are you up to? Who are you?
Hello, my name is Nikatine. I am a Twitch ambassador and a role player. I do a lot of role-playing games, GTA roleplay. Right now I'm doing a lot of Red Dead roleplay. So like old-timey, Old West cowboy stuff. It's super fun. It doesn't sound like GTA because it's not. It's like much more slow burn and like really interesting. I also do a lot of tabletop roleplay as well. So I DM a Star Trek show, which is great. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about like what got you guys into streaming and how long have you been streaming for? Whoever wants to go first.
I'll jump in. I've been streaming for a little bit over. I just celebrated my 4-year stream anniversary at the beginning of the month. So I've been streaming on Twitch for about 4 years, but I started streaming on YouTube like a couple of months before that because I actually got my start in content creation on YouTube making Animal Crossing videos. That's where the crossing in my name comes from. So yeah, I really grew making Animal Crossing videos on YouTube and eventually wanted to try out streaming. And I liked it, but YouTube wasn't really the scene for it. So I tried out, I started watching streams on Twitch and really enjoyed, it seemed like more of a community on Twitch, whereas YouTube was just, I don't know, seemed more like people just commenting on the content rather than talking to each other and being there for the community. So I started streaming on Twitch and fell in love and never went back.
That's awesome. I didn't even know that you started on YouTube. That's really cool.
I didn't know that either. I'm learning so much.
What about you guys? How long have you been streaming for?
Well, I hit my 5 years next month.
Wow.
I started in 2016. I really wanted to be Seagull from like pro Overwatch player Seagull. You guys probably may have heard of him. I thought pro Overwatch was such a cool scene, and I thought Overwatch was wonderful, and I thought, man, I could do that easy. Turns out Overwatch is extraordinarily hard, and I lost interest for like a couple of weeks. I came back refreshed, and I was like, all right, you know what? I think maybe I would have more fun streaming stuff that I like to do. So I did, and I found a little community, and then I found more community, and then now I have like a whole community. And I do all kinds of games. So yeah, that was how I got started 5 years ago, almost.
Wow.
Next month.
Nice.
That's crazy.
Dylan, you're kind of new at this whole
I'm,
thing, huh?
am I the baby of the
You
group? Am
are
I
the baby.
the streamer toddler? Yeah, I was one of those many pandemic streamers, right? People who started streaming because of the pandemic and all that. I took a leave of absence from work, and I was just really burnt out, like just completely stressed out. Like all the fun things I liked doing in life got taken away from me, basically, right? And so I wanted to do something that was a little more fulfilling and fulfilling more of a purpose in life and all that. So I started streaming, just to play games with people and interact with people and all that. And I built my channel around Star Wars and talking about Star Wars and playing Star Wars games and all that. And like in the mornings, like I really wanted to create a fun place for people to come first thing in the US, like starting their day, like, hey, here's a fun stream. I can come hang out before I go to work or before I go to school or whatever. And we managed to grow and actually like find an audience and find like a viewership base. And like I ended up changing my name from As Told by Dylan to The Order of Dylan because that became the name of our community. And I wanted my name to reflect like what I was trying to build, which was a genuine, actual like place that of people. It wasn't just about me playing games and like being a great gamer. It was really just about like them, the audience, the viewership, us as a community. And I always, when I tweet out anything, it's not I'm live, it's we're live. You know what I mean? And that's what it's always been about that for me.
Yeah, your story is so interesting because there's so many people that started streaming during the pandemic and just like more recently in general. I mean, there are now like millions of streamers, and it's one of those things where people feel like Twitch is super saturated and it's like impossible to grow. But here we have someone who just started in the last year and has grown drastically, significantly. And like you mentioned, you just got partnered with Knockout City. And we hope that during this show, like you guys can see so many different perspectives. Like it's not just streamers who got in early and then made it and we're just cruising trying to give you guys advice. Like these are real active stories that are still being formed to this day. So what was Twitch like when y'all started out? So I've been streaming for 7 years now, so I guess that makes me the elder of the group. So I was around in the very early days, back when like Co Carnage had like 500 viewers, like way back then. And Twitch at that time was, you knew everyone who streamed. Like you knew everyone. You knew all the streamers. Like it was very much a community. You could go into another channel and you would just see like the same people. It was like what one channel feels like today was like the entirety of Twitch. It was really interesting. How was your guys' first experiences on the platform when you got started?
When I started streaming, we had this thing called communities. It was no. It was literally a
Yeah,
tool
I
called
remember
communities.
that. Yeah.
And it was basically user-generated tags, and that was how I found people on Twitch. So anybody found anybody on Twitch. It was user-generated tags. You could only have one at first, and then they let you have 3. And that was it was amazing because you could just have you make a community as like a tag, and other people could stream to it, and everybody could find each other. It was awesome. And then they got rid of it, like within a year, and then we were stuck with the tag system as it is today.
Yeah, I remember that. That was that's something that we'll talk about later too, with like building inclusive communities, like how the literal communities like tool facilitated that. There was a lot of issues with it, and now we have the tag system. But Misha, what about you? Like, how was it like when you started? Because you came from YouTube, so obviously like it was a noticeable difference in the two different platforms.
Yeah, very different. Like I said, YouTube felt more like, and it still feels like people, it's just your viewers commenting on your content. It's not really building a community, which I guess not every Twitch streamer is about building a community, but that's what I love about Twitch personally. So yeah, that was a very stark contrast when I came over to Twitch, and something that I loved a lot. And it definitely wasn't, like you said, where literally everybody on Twitch knew each other, but there was definitely like a community of similar streamers where, we just had a lot of overlap in community members, or just one streamer would watch another streamer and, you would check them out and they'd have a similar vibe and play similar stuff. So you'd start watching them, hanging out in that community. And that's kind of how I started getting to know other creators and also like gaining more people in my personal community from just hanging out with other streamers. But yeah, I think I came in on the very end of the community thing that Twitch had, like right before they removed that. And I think I joined right at the beginning of the affiliate program as well. Yeah. So that was interesting getting into that, I think, right when it was starting. But it was nice to have because I knew Twitch partner was like a thing I would have to work a while towards. So it was nice having that affiliate status before getting there.
Gotcha. So you were an affiliate before you were partnered then?
Yes, I was.
Ah, okay. So I thought Dylan may have been the only one. Nikatine, were you an affiliate?
Oh, yeah, actually, so I had all the requirements for affiliateship when it dropped, so I became an affiliate.
Okay.
When they created affiliates, and then I think I was only an affiliate for a little while, and I got partnered shortly thereafter.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, we'll definitely be talking about that later with y'all's experience. Dylan, you started streaming in like the peak of streaming where tons of people were starting out. Like, what was it like jumping in?
Literally everyone, right? Celebrities, like everyone. Your mom was streaming as well. Like everyone was streaming. And so when I started, one of my first decisions was, okay, if I'm going to start streaming, and I was streaming off a console, like I didn't invest that much into it at initially, because I'm just starting out. Like I didn't know how this was going to go. Would I have anyone watching me like at all? So I started streaming. One of the very first decisions I made was I'm going to stream in the morning. I'm used to getting up for work and working, so I'm going to treat like streaming like right off the gate like as a job. Like I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna do this thing. And I figured, like, having studied the ebbs and flows of Twitch, that I would stream in the morning because it would be a lot easier possibly to find viewers because it's not as saturated at that time, right? And I wanted to work in like the Star Wars space, which was kind of, as we'll talk about probably, like there are pockets of Twitch that people aren't aware of that exist, that are like these small like communities that exist that don't have a lot of streamers in them, and you can find a lot of great viewers and communities within that community. And so I managed to do that. There were people who were hungry for, like fun conversations and Star Wars talk and all that at 8 a.m. Eastern. You'd be surprised, right? And that's kind of the little, like, the niche that I kind of sort of fell into. And yeah, the competition, like, and it's only grown. Like even now, like I used to think of myself, I'm the fun Star Wars guy in the morning, and now there's like a bunch of them, right? Like it just continues to grow every day, which is great. It's really cool to see more and more people coming into streaming. I've had people within my own community that I've built who are now streaming and doing well themselves. It's just been nuts to see. But yeah, I got affiliated pretty quickly. Large part of that just from streaming in the morning, but also like coming from someone like Lowco's community where I was a moderator and people knew me, which is another important thing we need to get into, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, that allowed me to get off to a really good start and created like a little foundation for me to build off of.
Yeah, that's definitely another really important thing we'll touch on, like networking and being a part of other communities, because that's definitely like a really, that's how I even got my start. Like I started with being like super a part of several streamers like Coat Carnage, and just being like super active, where you recognize people, right? You say hi to people, and then by the time I started, I already had people that were expecting me to stream, that were excited for me to stream, because we got to know each other just by being like active chatters in these tight-knit communities. And also like being a moderator, that's definitely like another aspect of like, you become known in another channel, you start to stream, like people will expect you. It's pretty cool to see. So what strategies did y'all use to grow, like back when you started? What worked for you then? And then obviously we'll get into what works now and how that has changed over the years.
Actually, I have something to contribute here. So when I started, I mentioned I was streaming Overwatch all the time. So the way that, if you're unfamiliar somehow, the way that Twitch works is discovery is, or at least at this time was, entirely based on view count. So if you click on the Overwatch category, it lists all the streamers in order of view count. So the top 20 would be like over 1,000, and then the next would be like over 500, and then you'd get to the 100 to 500, and you'd sort of get the 20 to 100, and then you'd start to get like the 10s, and then the 5s, and then the zeros, like nobody watching.
Right.
Pro tip: if you just keep your dashboard open, that's one. Just keep your dashboard on, and that's one.
Does it actually count?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You just have to mute the tab and not the stream player. Yeah. Anyway, I started playing Overwatch, and I didn't really understand discoverability on Twitch at that time, so I was streaming to an audience of nobody, sometimes trolls who would like troll down to the bottom. And that was it, and it was very demoralizing. And I didn't really realize that that I could stream in like a different category, like a game that I was really interested in. What I ended up moving to, KSP, Kerbal Space Program, where the community is much smaller, much more close knit. There's only ever about 30 people max streaming it, and those people all kind of know each other. They're all part of the this pretty tight knit KSP community. They all give each other hosts and support each other, and all the audience members know all the other KSP streamers, and it's very close that way. So immediately I found a much better community, in terms of my own sanity and also for Twitch growth, because I had this built-in, community with the game that I was streaming. I think that's really important, that if you find a game that you really, really, really like, you can contribute something to educationally or something interesting to, for your content, but also a game that has, a limited number of streamers with a medium to large size viewership, I think, because it's going to help growth in the long run.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that Nikatine brought this up, because it is one of the biggest things that I'm always telling people when people ask me, like, hey, I'm starting streaming and no one's watching me. What do I do? So category placement, if you're not killing it on another platform and bringing viewers in from TikTok, YouTube, whatever, right? You are entirely dependent on Twitch discoverability, right? So I always tell people, do me a favor, whatever you're streaming, whatever your like average viewership is right now, go into that category, scroll, and tell me where you would be in this category if you were live right now. If you have 3-4 viewers and you're streaming Fortnite, no one is going to find you, because there's a million people at that same viewership range, all buried at the bottom of this category. Category placement is everything when it comes to Twitch discoverability. So 100% what Nikatine just said, like, find categories, find games that interest you that are undersaturated, meaning that there aren't that many streamers in that category. Maybe there are a healthy amount of streamers in the category, but not a lot of big viewership. And also go on YouTube and look at that game and look to see if people are making content about it. Because what you'll find is that you'll find games that there is an active player base, people are making content about it, but there's not a bunch of big shots in that category. So that's a space that you can slide into and possibly find viewership. That happened for me. I was streaming Star Wars Battlefront 2 at 8 o'clock in the morning, and there weren't that many people streaming Star Wars Battlefront 2 at 8 o'clock in the morning. And so I managed, even with my small viewership of 8, 10, 15, whatever viewers it was at that time, I was like second or third in the category. And it's a category that was still pretty active. So I grew and managed to get to a pretty healthy place. And it's all because like I was in a category that I could actually grow in and get, like, viewers could actually find me, no matter how small I was, or even no matter how new I was.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a good point, because, when people pick what games they're streaming, they look at, like, okay, the most popular games, like, that has the most viewership, but you don't have to be in that category, because you are more than likely not going to be found. Like, Dylan, your advice is so sound. Like, go to the game that you're going to play and actually, like, see, like, would you scroll this far to find you? Like, what are the odds that someone's going to find you? You definitely don't underestimate those games that have, like, those small communities, because if you're starting from, 0 viewers, like, if there are 100 people in a game directory watching that game, like, that's 100 people that could come to your stream. That would be pretty cool. Like, I wouldn't complain about that. You can also look at, like, Steam and look at player bases as well. Like, there are plenty of games that have, like, a really active community, but they may not be, like, popular on Twitch. Like, just because the game isn't popular on Twitch doesn't necessarily mean the game isn't popular in general. Like, there are communities that exist outside of Twitch, believe it or not. And there are people that will look for those that are streaming that kind of game. So, don't be discouraged if, like, the game you want to play doesn't have, like, thousands of viewers in it, if it's not the most popular game on Twitch. you can totally build an active community with a game that is older. Like Battlefront 2 came out several years ago, and there's still a pretty active community that allowed Dylan to grow from.
Yeah, that's something that when I first started streaming, and it seems might still be the case, I noticed a lot of people grew by streaming like one game. They streamed one game and that was it. And that's how they grew a lot. And I really wanted to stream a variety of things because I'd been making Animal Crossing content for a couple of years, and I wanted to play other games that I enjoyed for people and experience them with a community. So, you know, I started doing variety, but the viewership was a lot lower than Animal Crossing, which is what people knew me for. So I found kind of like a healthy balance of the two. Like I had one day a week where I 100% always played Animal Crossing, which is my big viewership game. Then other days I just, you know, played when I wanted to and stuck to maybe one or two other games. And that started, that's basically how I eventually got partnered, was because the Animal Crossing viewership was so much higher because that's what people knew me for and came to my channel for. But also attracted people who enjoyed other types of content and other types of games besides just Animal Crossing, which, yeah, is what I wanted.
Yeah.
I have a question for Misha.
Yeah.
So coming from YouTube, like as I understand it, as my dumb Twitch streamer brain tries to wrap my mind around the expanse of YouTube, most of the growth from YouTube happens from collabs, right? You find a lot of collab streams on YouTube, like help with growth.
Well, I was
collab videos.
I personally never did collab videos. I was making. So, okay, to go back even farther than YouTube, I started on Animal Crossing Tumblr, of all things. Yeah. And that's where I like actually started gaining a following. And they
Raymond.
Yeah, and then they convinced me to start making videos on YouTube. So I was making like Animal Crossing Let's Plays on YouTube, and then also like guide and tutorial videos as well. So that's what people, I guess, wanted out of my content and what I enjoyed making. So yeah, I never really did collab stuff, just like Let's Plays and yeah, like tutorial type stuff.
That's awesome. As like a tiny little follow-up, I wanted to say that I think a lot of Twitch streams really grow from collab type content. And I don't mean explicit collab content like we're doing here, like a panel. I mean like implicit collab content. A lot of you, if you're wondering why there's a lot of like esports players and a lot of role players who are popular on Twitch, it's because of the interactions they have with other streamers in the course of doing their stream. Like esports players of a high enough level will find each other in lobbies a lot together or against each other because they're at such that high level and they're offering that educational content to their viewers. Role players will do that similarly. Like they'll be in role play servers together and they'll interact with other streamers whilst doing that in a very natural and normal way. Don't snipe people who are streaming. But having that collab type content, that crossover for communities, is something that really helps any channel on Twitch. And finding a way to have that kind of collab crossover content is amazing for growth on Twitch.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Yeah, no, let's talk more about that, because that is definitely like a way to grow. And I think a lot of streamers get kind of intimidated of like, oh, well, how do I approach other streamers? How do I even begin to, you know, collaborate with other streamers? Like, you know, I don't know who to talk to. I don't know anyone. How do you all approach collaborations? I
have something actually. So first of all, you have to like really enjoy Twitch. Like you have to like watching Twitch streams, you know, you have to like actually enjoy the platform. So by doing that, you end up like watching a lot of Twitch streamers. And if you are interested in like making friends on the platform, then you need to find streamers who they share kind of your same audience demographic maybe, or they're a pretty similar size and do a similar game as you, or they do something very similar to you. Make friends with those people, you know, raid them, give them hosts, support them, shout them out. And, you know, occasionally you'll find people who will do the same for you. And, you know, it's like a colleague relationship already. So I think that's a great way to just make friends and also grow your channel a little bit. But definitely like love the platform and also be genuinely trying to make friends, because people will smell like, like any kind of malfeasance from a mile away, right? Don't be like weird and bad about it.
Yeah, 100%. And like to Nikatine's point, a lot of people come to Twitch to stream, and they forget that Twitch is not just a streaming platform, it's a viewing platform, right? And so like collaborating in network, I hate the term networking, but that's not, but like find channels that are genuinely find channels that you are interested in, that kind of that are within your space. If you love Animal Crossing, go check out some Animal Crossing streams, right? And become a member of certain communities, especially when you're starting out. Like if you're streaming and you have no viewers, that means that no one knows you, right? On Twitch, no one knows you on the platform. So what you should be doing is being a viewer. Like, go and watch streams that interest you, become an active member of those communities, so that when you eventually decide to start back up streaming, people know you. And so when you go live, it's like, oh, so-and-so is live. I know them from so-and-so's community. Let me go check them out. And all of a sudden you go from 0 to actually having people watching you. But I think in terms of like collabing, like I can tell you for me, again, I got partnered with this game, Knockout City. It wasn't even on my radar, but a streamer that I watch actively in the mornings, Satano, he was telling me, yo, you got to play Knockout City. It's really fun. And he was geeking out about it. And I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And that's kind of how the ball got started. And then a lot of people from his community come and watch me in the afternoons. And then a lot of people from my community go watch him in the mornings. And right there. And that's all genuine. That's not me trying to milk him or him trying to milk me. You know what I mean? It's just a genuine, like, I'm friends with this person. I enjoy their content. They enjoy my content. And look at what we're doing together right now.
Yeah. So what if you don't have a ton of time to watch Twitch streams? Like, you guys network and like build collaborations outside of Twitch?
Yeah, Twitter is like so huge for growing on Twitch, especially now. Because I used to watch so much more Twitch than I do now, but just with all the different types of content I'm making, I just don't have as much time anymore.
Right.
But the best way to interact with streamers, if you're not in their chat, is on Twitter. Like, I don't know, having, genuine conversations with them, replying to whatever you see, celebrations, anniversaries, birthdays, or just taking part in whatever topic they're discussing. Just similar to, finding streamers on Twitch that are in the same vibe, in the same game category as you. I think it's also good to do similar on Twitter. And I think that's just comes naturally, because it's going to be actually difficult to find, streamers who aren't in your type of vibe is the word I just keep going to, but
that's a good
yeah.
word.
Vibes.
Yeah, you gotta find people that you vibe with.
Yeah.
And I've made a ton of streamer friends on Twitter that I've barely been able to watch their streams just due to time constraints, but Twitter and other socials are how we've really gotten to know each other.
Yeah, I really like the point that you make about like having that same vibe, because you do want to find people that play similar games, that have like a similar community to yours, because that's going to be the best overlap, right? Like, if you're going to raid into someone, you want to raid someone that you're going to trust your community to, that they're going to like them, right? Because you ideally would like some of their members to eventually come over to your channel, and they would probably like your channel too. So, if you're playing, FPS games all the time, and you raid someone that's playing an MMO, like, the chance of that overlapping super well, is less likely than if you raid someone that's playing the same shooter or a different shooter, right? And the same thing goes with, with the vibe and the attitude. Like, if you're a family-friendly channel and you raid someone that's like swearing every 5 seconds, like, that's honestly kind of irresponsible to send your community. Like, if they have this expectation, you thrust them into a different stream that has like totally different vibe, that's kind of jarring, right? So it's really important to kind of find streamers that you mesh well with.
Yeah, absolutely. And like if you're a family friendly sim streamer, you shouldn't be rating like a mature Call of Duty streamer, right? That doesn't make any sense. I want to piggyback though off of what Misha was saying about Twitter. If you're a streamer and you're not like active on Twitter or really, mainly Twitter, but any social media platform, like you are holding yourself back. I can tell you firsthand, like being on Twitter and not just and it's not just there for going live tweets, but like responding to things that are in your space and things that interest you is really, really important. But also like reaching out to people, not just streamers, but also like games themselves. I can tell you, I put together this little event, this fashion show in this game, Knockout City, and it was just like a thing I was going to put together on my stream. So I decided to put it out on Twitter just like as an announcement and tag the game and all that. They ended up reaching, and this is before I got the partnership. They ended up reaching out to me to say, "Hey, this is really cool. Can we announce this in our Discord and all of that?" And I was like, "Sure." And from there, that started a dialogue with the development team of this game that eventually led to them supplying our event with all the prizes that we needed and them stopping by. And then I got the partnership, and then all of a sudden it became like an official event. It went from this thing on Monday that I tweeted out to that I was just going to do on the channel to now like an official thing with the game that I'm now partnered with. And that's literally all because of social media, being on social media and being active, tagging people, making friends. Like it's huge, absolutely huge.
Yeah, and as we get into talking about like how Twitch is today, like I think that's one of the big things that I feel like social media is way more important now. Like outside platforms like Twitter and even TikTok are super important to grow as a streamer on Twitch, which is kind of weird to say. It's like you actually like I probably spend more time doing outside things now than I do actually streaming because of just that requirement to kind of build on other platforms. I feel like that's changed a lot where, when I started back in my day, when I started 7 years ago, like you could just stream, like you didn't even need a Twitter, like you didn't even need a Discord. Like people just, if they liked your community, they just stayed in your chat when you were offline. They would just keep chatting. Like, I don't know if anyone remembers that, but like before Discord was even a thing, if people just enjoyed your community, they would just hang out and chat offline. So when that was a thing, streaming then, it was like you didn't need other platforms. I mean, TikTok literally didn't exist. Instagram was, I don't even know what Instagram was 7 years ago. So people just really streamed on Twitch. People had Twitter accounts, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. It was really just about positioning yourself within Twitch itself. Like it wasn't as saturated where you could, even as a mid-sized streamer, you could play like day one releases and still get growth, still get new people coming in because your position on the directory in terms of viewership was, it was achievable. Like you could actually see, within a few scrolls. But now that's you can't really get away with just like playing the most popular games. Even someone that is a mid-sized streamer now can't get away with playing the most popular games day one. Like you kind of have to be a lot smarter with the games that you pick. So in your guys' experience, like how has Twitch changed, like either for you personally or even just what you've noticed, like as the platform has dramatically changed over the last few years?
Well, I brought this up earlier, but the change in policy, I guess, from removing the removal of communities and the addition of tags was a huge blow to a lot of streamers. Not just minority streamers, but like lots of streamers who built up these communities, suddenly finding themselves like without a way to reach them. And so it was also a blow to viewers as well, right? Like trying to find other streamers who were streaming to a certain, community, quote unquote, that like didn't exist anymore. It was just impossible to find anything. Luckily, Twitch has been adding tags, drip feeding us tags for some time. And now there's a bunch of, they keep calling them identity tags. There's a bunch of new tags now. So I think that was probably the biggest thing that has changed and affected me and my community. But I think a lot of the like the meta stuff has changed too. Like every 6 months or something, there'll be like some new Twitch meta, right? They'll call it the Twitch meta, and it'll be like what all the popular streamers are doing. For a little while, it was GTA roleplay, and then it was hot tubs, and it was, you know, who knows?
ASMR, you're looking.
Yeah. Right. Who knows what it'll be next month? And
Now
so
it's gambling streams is like the big thing right now. That's getting a lot of controversy too.
Chess had its moment.
Chess was
Chess,
big when
yeah.
that Netflix
So-
show came out.
I think the thing to remember is that the popular streamers are going to always be on some kind of a meta, and a bunch of viewers will always be doing that. But unless you can find a way to meaningfully interact with those people, either by playing them in chess or hopping into their hot tub, it's really not going to grow your stream any to do that. You know, you'll see a ton of people doing, you know, if Amaranth or somebody does a hot tub stream, you'll see like a bunch of other people doing hot tub streams. And then you'll scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll find people like trying to hop onto the hot tub meta who just can't quite figure out why it's not working. And it's because the people who, you know, watch the big streamers don't tend to like shop around too much. So find ways to meaningfully interact with other streamers in a community that's similar to yours. Have some crossover content, and yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah, that commentary about you know, just doing what's popular kind of reminds me of Mean Girls with, you know, Regina George being a trendsetter for whatever, and everyone follows, right?
Wednesdays.
But yeah, that's a really good point about, like, you know, just not worrying about what's popular, but necessarily. But I mean, you know, it can be an opportunity for smaller creators to shine by doing something unique or different to something that is getting a lot of traction. And I think also to that, it's like having that eye and seeing what's going to be popular. Like, you know, I think VTubing is something that's growing. That's like, for those that don't know, it's like it's like a virtual avatar, and you know, it's like kind of like face rig where you can like talk and stuff, and like, you know, it's a virtual avatar basically. That is something that is huge on YouTube. That's finally coming over to Twitch. And you're seeing creators who were in on that early, that are getting in on that early, growing. You know, that's actually something that's a trend in this on this platform. It's like VTuber is growing a lot. So, you know, if you have an eye for trends and being able to see like what's going on in the space as a whole, you can actually get in on some of these popular trends early and get some growth and stand out through that.
Yeah, and this kind of connects to what we were talking about with Twitter, but and also something that has changed over the years that I've been streaming that I've noticed is game developers, especially indie game developers, are so much more involved in the Twitch community than they used to be, at least from what I've noticed. So yeah, something that can be really fun and really helpful for growth is, you know, following a lot of game studios, especially indie game studios on Twitter, or if they have Twitch or other socials, because I see so many streamers of all sizes getting free keys or getting sponsored streams from these indie developers and getting promoted by them, which, you know, they're not big AAA companies, but they're still, you know, that's still exposure, and that's still people that you're collaborating with and growing in that way. Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought this up. Mini rant incoming. Okay, if you're a streamer, like of any size or whatever, if you're a game streamer, if you are not paying attention to things like E3, what are you doing? Okay, to Mischa's point, right? Like, new games are coming out like all the time, right? And especially from smaller to medium-sized developers. And like, they all saw what happened last year with games like Fall Guys and Among Us, where the Twitch community in YouTube like drove those games to massive success, where you go, like, if those games had just come out in a normal gaming space where you didn't have Twitch and influencers to influence those things into success, where would they have been? So now more than ever, these game companies and their community teams are more involved with content creators creating, you know, creator programs and partner programs with games, like, more than ever. And so it's a huge opportunity for streamers. So I would always tell people, and it was shocking. I would go into streams and ask people like, hey, dude, what did you think of E3? And anything that caught your eye? And like, oh, I didn't watch it. I'm like, what do you mean you didn't watch E3? Like, all of these games are being announced, and these are games that are potential opportunities for you. So absolutely pay attention to that. And again, be on Twitter, like reach out to them, be in their Discords. If they have Reddits, like be on there, be active in those communities, because like that's an opportunity for you to say, hey, get on the ground early on a new game release. And again, I'm not talking like AAA Battlefield titles. I'm talking like, like Misha said, like smaller games, because they want to work with content creators. They want to work with you because you have the potential to bring people to their game. I've literally been able to convince people to buy a game like Knockout City, like literally spent money right there as I was live on that game, and that's huge. So absolutely, like pay attention to what's happening in your scene. That's absolutely massive.
Yeah, that's definitely changed over the years, where devs are and publishers are way more embracing of creators. Like, you don't have to explain what Twitch is or explain what your value is as just being a streamer. They understand it now and they want to work with you. And you don't have to be the largest creator on Twitch to get opportunities. I think that's something that a lot of small creators, they kind of just, discount like any attempt to take any opportunity that they can, because they just assume that there's just nothing there for them. And yes, some people will say no, like some publishers, they will say no, they're not interested. Maybe you just don't fit what they are looking for. But there will be creators that are companies that do say yes, that will give you codes, opportunities. I mean, to Dylan's point, like Dylan was like hosted by Knockout City and promoted on their socials for an event that he did on his own. So that kind of stuff is totally possible no matter your size. You just have to put yourself out there and show why you should be either sponsored or just get some keys or something. Like, show why you deserve what you want from them, right? And show like what benefit that you would bring to that company. Anything to add to that? I know, Dylan, you've had a lot of experience with this, so I was like,
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, 100%. Like your value, like show your value. Like I put together an event for a game, this small and medium game, this medium-sized game, and that showed them like, oh, this is this creator who's doing cool things with our game. That means a lot. So regardless of whether or not, like, I didn't have big viewership, I wasn't an influencer or whatever, but I showed my worth, my value to them as a creator. So to anyone who's an affiliate, who's like, you see like a game is, opens up partner program or whatever, and you're like, well, my numbers are just whatever. I don't think I'm gonna like submit for that or whatever. No, like show your worth. If you're a creative person, get creative. Do things. Be active again on the social media and then on Discord, and put yourself out there. Shoot your shot, right? Because you never know. You never know what that could lead to and how that can just absolutely like catapult you to success. But it's just about putting yourself out there.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's a really awesome thing that you did, like with the event that you created, that really like, got the devs' attention and got other people's attention. And I think that's another big piece of advice, is to like get creative with your streams and get creative with your content, because people might watch you for just like playing the video game and commentating on the game, but it's yeah. But there's, you got to do something, especially with how saturated Twitch is now. You got to do a little something to stand out, even if you're playing a game that you really love. Maybe you have, like an idea for an event, or I can't think of any things off the top of my head right now, but just getting creative with ideas of any kind, whether it's with a game that you're playing or something you want to do with your community. Is such a great way to kind of stand out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're doing something unique, right? Like, with what Dylan did, he did like a fashion show in Knockout City. Like, that's super creative that, no one has probably thought of for Knockout City. So if you even put together like unique events, or if you do something special for a game, like companies love that. Like, that's great PR for them. They love promoting that kind of stuff. Like, you're doing work for them, but you are getting an opportunity to get noticed and make a connection with a company by just coming up with cool ideas. And viewers love that too. That's the thing. Like, viewers love unique special events. They want to feel like they're part of something that's like exciting and thrilling and like, just different from just sitting and playing the game every time. So that's a, something to think about, both for, for making connections with companies, but also just strengthening your community and also growing and standing out is just like coming up with cool things, like different angles for playing games. Like it's like streaming on Twitch, everyone who plays games on Twitch, like they have good audio, they have good video, right? It's not like that's just not even the baseline anymore. It's not just like playing games. It's like you have to actually put some sort of spin on the content you're producing. Like it could be your commentary, it could be unique interactions with the community. Like maybe they can influence the game in some way. Just thinking of different angles to, like your playthroughs can be a huge way to stand out and draw people into your stream.
I have something I'd like to add to that too. We're not just saying be creative, because that's not going to help anybody. What we're saying is find what you are bringing to the stream. When we said go watch other Twitch streams, I mean, figure out like why you like Twitch. Figure out what it is that brings you to a Twitch stream, what draws you in, and try to find that thing for yourself. Like try to figure out what you're doing that's gonna make people want to watch you. Figure out what it is that is gonna bring people to your stream, whether it's educational content like Misha on YouTube, or whether it's the community like it's told by Dylan. Figure out what's bringing people to your Twitch stream. A lot of people will grow their Twitch stream by being really, really good at a game, like an esports player, or they'll be really, really funny, like some GTA role player streams. Like find the thing that's gonna make people want to watch you, and then you can figure out like what brands are working with those types of streamers. Like maybe a certain type of company will be more likely to work with, an educational streams, over like, some really raunchy comedy stuff. Also, while we're on the brand thing, don't ever work for free. Don't work for products. Don't work for the code that, gets your audience, 0.5% off of a thing. You're worth more than that. Don't scab. Companies will be able to afford an actual, relationship with you, a business relationship with you. And if they're not ready for that, then find somebody who will, or continue to grow. Don't settle for the garbage they'll send you, because they'll send you garbage to your house, and they'll just expect you to have it all the time on stream, and they'll try to own you like that. Don't do that. Mm-hmm. And go on Twitter and follow community managers for companies. Go on Twitter and follow the social media managers for companies on Twitch, because sometimes they'll just put out on Twitter. They'll just put out like tweets that are like, hey, we have this opportunity coming up. Interested streamers, just reply here or DM me. They'll tweet that stuff all the time. So follow community managers on Twitter for sure.
Yeah, that's one thing that I definitely used to do when I was like playing a ton of games on Twitch. Just like whenever a game was coming out, a few months in advance, I'd always look up who the community manager is. And you can do this by going to the publisher's website. You can just search in Twitter like community manager and then the publisher. You can look through the publisher or the game studio's Twitter, like they're usually following them, or they retweet them, or they interact with them, right? So you can actually find these community managers, and these are the people that you want to make connections with, either by engaging them on Twitter. Like usually they'll put out a tweet, like if they're looking for creators to stream their game, or they have an email address or DM. So these people are very approachable. Like you just have to be professional and be kind, and also make sure you're not waiting till like the day a game launches to try to get a code. Like start doing this months in advance to establish that connection, so that you can be put on their list and you'll get emailed when that game comes out.
Again, why it's super important to pay attention to things like E3, right? Mm-hmm. and events and these sort of like conventions and whatnot, because you want to get in early on whatever like the new things that are coming out. Again, We're not talking about giant titles, but just all these games that get announced. And it's like, if something that piques your interest and in whatever your space is, like start following them. If there's a beta, sign up for the beta, all of that. Like get in early on things and get on the ground floor. It's absolutely massive.
Yeah, definitely a good point there. So, as we're talking about this, what strategies do you guys use to get yourself out there now? Like, what works for you now to get discovered?
We talked about Twitter earlier, but posting clips specifically on Twitter and on places like, I think Twitter and TikTok are two of the biggest ones right now for posting clips, because that's a great way to share just like a little slice of your content with people if they haven't been motivated to, click on a whole link and go to, another website to watch your stream. They can be just on the thing they're on already and see a little bit of your content. And not every clip is going to, pop off and go viral. But even the ones that don't get a ton of interaction, you're still getting more eyes on your content and might find, new people who dig what you're doing. I've had several people come in from like Twitter clips that I've posted and are now regular members of the community. So that can be a really huge thing to get your content out there.
Yeah, I feel like clips on Twitter are massive because, like you said, people are lazy. Like, they don't want to click on a link to then see what they're getting. Like, they want things to be as easy and present as possible. So, and you, as someone who's trying to market themselves, you should want to make it as easy as possible for people to see your content. What better way for someone to actually get a little taste of what you offer by watching a video? I think one big important thing to mention when posting clips is including captions on your videos, because by default, people don't scroll Twitter with the sound on their videos. Like, the sound doesn't autoplay. So captions are a great way to get someone to read what is happening in your tweet, right? And what's happening in the video. It draws them in, and sometimes it's all the context they need to follow you, right? Also, accessibility is pretty cool too. So
yeah, I was just gonna say the accessibility part of that is great. I have the closed caption stuff rolling on my stream all the time, but I do think that Twitter is a really good avenue for disseminating clips. Just make sure that, like you said, most people don't have audio just on by default. So if you're gonna edit the video first, you should try to put a little stinger in the front of it and before it, so that when people are scrolling by, they see a stinger and it's not immediately the clip, so they don't miss half of it turning their sound on. But that's just me.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Editing your clips can be a really huge difference between them getting completely looked over and actually getting a good amount of views. In addition to adding captions, just editing the clip in a funny and interesting way where there's not a lot of dead air in between the things that you're saying, and adding little funny little captions that you aren't actually saying, but something that still adds to the humor of the clip, or sound effects, or adding little graphics to it.
Zooms, zooming in on reactions.
Editing clips can be, like I said, make a huge difference between it getting looked over and it getting views. And also, don't post clips that are too long, because again, people are lazy and they don't want to watch things that are too long. So keeping it to 20, 30 seconds, I think, is a good time frame, and definitely not over a minute unless it's just like content for some reason. But yeah, shorter clips tend to get more.
I think it was Vanna. I think it was Havana-rama. You know Vanna, right? I think it was Vanna who did it was the one example of a long clip that I can remember that was golden, and it was I think it was Vanna going through the character creator and renaming all of the base character models for a thing, and she was getting them totally wrong, and it was hilarious. And it was amazing that long form for YouTube, a minute long video. So, but yeah, once in a lifetime kind of thing. Keep it short.
Right.
Yeah, short form video content's really just blowing up. I mean, do you guys use TikTok at all?
I do. Yeah.
I got a TikTok, and I have I'm basically a boomer with video content like that. I think I'm just bad at understanding exactly what short form video content is good. So I have no idea how to use TikTok, but I have one now.
Yeah, it takes time of just any new social media platform of just scrolling through and consuming the content and learning what works. And God, TikTok is such a singular like platform where trends change just at the drop of a hat. New viral sounds will come up that people start using that you want to get in on before it gets too popular, but people are still watching it. So it can be exhausting to keep up with. But if you're having fun with it, it can be a really great way to grow your content. And also posting clips there. A lot of people get good views with posting, again, edited, captioned clips on TikTok. I was about to say something else, and then it just completely exited my brain.
I don't know if it's I don't know what this tool does or if it's useful at all, but I know that there's like a new tool from Streamlabs, I want to say, that's basically like a pipeline from Twitch to TikTok.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it'll like find and export clips of yours directly to TikTok in some meaningful way. I'm not sure exactly what it does, and I haven't used it, so I'm not endorsing it. I'm just saying I know that this exists, so it must be popular and worth it. If a company spent all this money creating a thing to do just that, it must be worth it.
Yeah, there's also a Streamladder. If you guys have heard of this, it's a free tool. Whimsy just said in chat, like streamladder.com. It's like you basically can literally paste your clip link from Twitch, and then you can format it for TikTok where you choose where your camera
that's
is.
awesome.
Yeah, and then you section where the video should be, and it's free and pretty easy to use. I know a lot of people have started using that for TikTok, so we love free helpful tools.
Yeah,
exactly. And don't forget to bring some of this content over to YouTube, where a lot of this can live a bit longer, but like cross-pollinating, like putting, like not just putting it on Twitter, put it on Instagram, not just put it on Instagram, put it on TikTok, not just put it on TikTok, put it on YouTube. And there are some differences to these formats that you'll want to like be aware of, because every single platform has its own culture and its own way of doing things, and the audiences are different. So, but like if you've got a really funny moment or a really amazing gaming moment or stream moment or something that happened during just chatting that's crazy, like don't forget to put that everywhere. You know what I mean? And format it correctly for those different platforms. Like get yourself out there as much as you can.
Yeah, someone in chat just mentioned YouTube Shorts. I've heard that is such a huge, which I wouldn't have ever considered, because like, oh, YouTube's copying TikTok. But apparently YouTube Shorts are a huge way to gain exposure. So if you make a TikTok, throw it over on YouTube Shorts. Like if I make a Twitter clip, I'll pretty much automatically, change the formatting, make it cropped for TikTok and throw it on there too. It can be pretty easy to, put your content in multiple places for sure.
Yes, this is a super valuable skill that streamers have, which is repurposing their content. Because when you do a live stream, unless you're there in the moment, it's gone forever. Like the best thing that you can do is repurpose some of that content for other platforms, because you've already done the work. You've already done the video, right? So figuring out what you can pull from that VOD and repurpose into other successful pieces of content is super, super important to just like saving a lot of time and marketing yourself. So, we talked about clips for Twitter. That's as simple as literally downloading a Twitch clip, captioning it, and throwing it on Twitter. With TikTok, you have to do a little bit of reformatting, but we've talked about Streamladder and some tools to kind of turn, basically you have to turn the clip on its side and move where the camera is to work for TikTok. But once you do that, YouTube Shorts is the same format. And another big one that we haven't talked about is Instagram Reels. Instagram is going much harder in the direction of Reels because everyone's trying to get a piece of what TikTok's doing. And the great thing about that is like you can create from one clip, you've now created content on several different platforms. And those platforms are, in my opinion, much better for marketing your content than it is just to do one stream on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys had any experience with Reels yet?
That's not something I've gotten into, actually, no.
Yeah. And with YouTube Shorts, like, I don't know if it's open to everyone yet, because when I looked into it, I didn't have access. I know they're still rolling it out. So if you don't have access to YouTube Shorts, it's because it's very new still, and it is rolling out to everyone over time. So just keep an eye on that. But yeah, I feel like TikTok is one of the best platforms for discoverability. I'm seeing creators who they've been streaming on Twitch for a while and they started doing TikTok content and they've blown up, and that's kind of been like they kind of have changed, so that being more of their focus, and then they kind of stream when they have time and try to funnel people over from there. So I feel like that's like that is definitely, I would say, if you spend time working on things outside the stream, like that's a big thing, is like figuring out what you can pull from a VOD and repurposing that content.
Yeah. And I think just simply having a secondary platform is massive. Like if you're on Twitch and that's what you do, you're a Twitch streamer or a YouTuber, you have to invest in at least one of these platforms, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, whatever, or if you're a YouTuber, come to Twitch to do live streams. If you're a Twitch streamer, get your content on YouTube or do content for YouTube. Or if you want to focus solely on social media and reaching out to people that way, go absolutely hard on Twitter. But you absolutely have to have one secondary platform that is like your additional like growth, your growth source to mesh with whatever your main platform is.
Why is that?
Because you need to diversify, right? You need to diversify your audiences, right? Like the audience on YouTube is not the same as the audience on Twitch. So like if you're able to be a Twitch streamer and succeed on Twitch, but then you're able to also create content on YouTube, that is an entirely new audience that you can bring to Twitch, and vice versa, Twitch to YouTube, and basically be able to not necessarily double your viewership or whatever, but have an additional pipeline of discoverability for yourself, because Twitch discoverability is not great if you're mainly a Twitch streamer, like we were talking about earlier with these categories. Like if it's difficult for people to find you, well, that's your wee woo in your head. You should be somewhere else bringing in an influx of new viewers potentially from other places. I know a streamer who's on Twitch who's doing really well. She also does a lot of TikToking with cosplaying, and she's constantly getting new viewers and followers, even no matter really what she's playing on Twitch, because she has this other platform that she's crushing it on, and she's doing really well on Twitch because of it. So that's why you want to find a secondary platform, whether you're a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer, whatever it is. Find a secondary platform that you like and that you're able to make content for, that's easy for you to make content for, and go absolutely hard on that.
Yeah. I think also it's important to have other platforms because, income diversification is super important too. Like,
yeah.
We saw, I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple years ago, there was like the adpocalypse for YouTube where, YouTube started to drastically change their algorithm and the way that they serve ads on videos, and a lot of creators lost their livelihoods because they weren't eligible for monetization on their videos anymore. They got shadow banned, or their videos stopped being served because of algorithm changes. This can happen to any platform. Like, having your entire career rely on one singular platform, like the platform is not like there to cater just to you. Like, they're going to do what works for them at the end of the day, and what works for them may not work for you. So it's really important to don't spread yourself too thin. Like, we're not saying like go to every single platform, have an account, and do all this content. Like, we understand that's not really realistic, especially if you're not full-time into content creation. But if you're a Twitch streamer and that's what you want to do mainly, like, pick at least one other platform that you start to put content out to, because that'll help you with marketing. It helps you build up a base on another platform in case something goes wrong, and lines you up for future opportunities and potential like alternative income streams.
Yeah, and you didn't even say it, but like, look what happened with Mixer. You know what I mean? Like, so many streamers were just all of a sudden like they didn't have a platform anymore, and so that's why it's so massive for you to have to keep your options open and to develop some sort of following somewhere else, because that can happen. You never know.
Patreon, Ko-Fi, OnlyFans, Fan House, all of these things are like great and sort of necessary if you want to do this full time. Like, especially as an affiliate, you're not gonna like make your whole living on Twitch. You should be looking at other ways to supplement your income, and also, hedge your bets a little in case something drastic happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Mixer was owned by Microsoft. So, as cozy as you could feel with Twitch being owned by Amazon, like, things can happen. Anything can happen, right? And even if a platform doesn't shut down overnight, it could just change in a way that just isn't beneficial to you. Like it hurts you, right? So, it's just a super, super important thing that you should be thinking about, even if you're just in the early stages of streaming. Like always be working on a backup plan. Do you guys stream more or less than you did when you started streaming?
My stream hours vary. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
My stream hours vary wildly depending on like what roleplay game is happening at the time. When I first started really getting heavy into roleplay, it was a game called Atlas, and I was streaming like 14-hour days just because I was really enjoying it and because I was getting a lot of growth from it. And so once the Atlas season was over and I started doing other content, my hours scaled way back. But then that when Conan hit, or when there was a really cool thing happening in GTA, like the hours will get really, really long for for really interesting content, or content that I feel is helpful for growth. So it varies, I think, wildly.
Yeah, I streamed a lot more than I do now. At the beginning, I think I streamed when I first went full time and didn't have my old real life job anymore, I was streaming like 5 days a week, 6-ish hours a day probably, and now I stream 4 days a week and about 5 hours per day. Just because, for multiple reasons, I'm doing a lot more work outside of actually streaming to make content and to improve the content that I make when I am streaming. And also burnout is just such a thing. I just get so worn out and burnt out if I'm just, working too hard and grinding too hard. And someone mentioned in chat earlier, just like, wow, this is a lot to consider. And yeah, it is. And it's really important to not try to do too much. Like, pace yourself, go easy. You're not going to do everything at one time. You're not going to dive straight into full-time streaming. Yeah, so just don't try to do it all. Don't try to take every piece of advice that we're giving and, put it all into action. Take little bits, whatever stands out the most to you, and just ease into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, when I started streaming last year, like I was out of work, so I streamed 5 or 6 days a week, right? And so now back to having a full-time job again, like that balance is very, very difficult to try to continue to, not just maintain a following, but grow. And so I stream about 4 days a week now, and I typically now I stream longer, and that balance of trying to like prevent burnout is just so real, which is why I have a day off baked into the middle of my week so that I can have that day to not stream, to get away from it all. But then like spending more time, like making up for that extra day or two of not streaming by watching more Twitch, like by watching the creators that I know and I love and I want to show that support to, and spending time with them. But it's giving me the opportunity to make more friends and network more and to collaborate more than ever. And so even though I'm streaming maybe a little bit less than I was a year before, I'm still seeing, good results or even better results than I was before. So you can find the proper balance. You don't have to stream 7 days a week for 12 hours a day to find success on Twitch. Like, you just find a schedule, be consistent about your schedule, because you have to think of your stream as a show, like a show. People watch a show at a certain time. Well, they used to. I'm an old person now. They, at a certain time, people want to be able to expect you. Like, Misha's live at such and such time. I know when Misha's going to be live, I'm going to go watch Misha. Like, you can't be streaming at all kind of crazy different times, because like people have lives apparently, and like they're not gonna be there at a certain time if you're not there at a certain time. So that's really important.
Yeah, you made a lot of good points there. I feel like that's one thing that has changed so much with Twitch is like the work that it like goes into streaming and being a successful creator. Like the outside of the streaming part, I feel like is so much more important now than it was before, where like Dylan says, you don't have to stream 5-6 days a week and be live all the time to be successful. If you can be smart about the work you're doing outside of streaming with marketing yourself, networking, social media, putting content, redistributing the content you're making onto other platforms, in a way that makes sense for those other platforms. Like, you can stream a lot less and have the same viewership or even better viewership. And also you could probably be happier, honestly, if you're not streaming like all the time. Like when I started streaming, I was streaming 6-7 days a week. I was streaming 7 hours a day. I did this for years until I was like, then I took off an hour. I took off like a day, and then I did that for like another 5 years until this last year where I started having like actual weekends that most people have, like 2 days off. Even then, I was still spending like one of those off days at least doing behind the scenes work. So now, with 2020 and burning out and just like doing this for 7 years, now I stream a lot less, where I have like during the week, I have a dedicated admin day for work, in the middle of the week. I have my actual weekends off that I take for like not working and getting as far away from the computer as I can, so that I don't do any work. I think with just how the nature of streaming has changed so much, you really don't have to be on all the time. You can balance a full-time job and stream and be successful. You just have to be smart about how you spend that outside time, in my opinion. So one thing that we didn't talk about yet, we talked about like strategies to get yourself out there, but we didn't talk about discoverability on Twitch. Dylan started to touch on this a little bit, but I definitely want to get into it as, we're talking about the Twitch streaming meta. Like, how do you guys feel about discoverability on Twitch now? How does it work?
I feel like it's kind of difficult for me to know, since I'm not at the beginning of my streaming journey now, so I really don't know, because I know that they've added tags that people, I don't know, do people go to tags to find streams? I get views through the LGBT QIA plus category, but that's the only tag I think I use that I see any type of views coming from. And I know they've reformatted the front page to give like recommended streams, but yeah, I'm not sure how that translates to starting streamers.
Well, I think that you can actually, before we go on, I just want to say that you can actually see who or how many people are clicking on your tag or finding you through a tag. It doesn't show you the number, but it shows you like the relative between the tags, like how people are finding the channel. So like, if you go to your analytics page, if you go to the bottom, it says which tags are users filtering by to find my channel. So if only they showed like the total number of people that are clicking, right? Because it's just all in like respect to the other tags, which is the most helpful thing. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it could be like 5 people, right? But that would be a really helpful thing for Twitch to add. But yeah, so you can at least see between the tags you're using, like what people click on.
I'm looking at mine right now. In the last 30 days, of the people who used tags on my channel, 60% of them used the trans tag to find me.
Nice.
Another 14 used LGBTQIA. So, and then the rest of them are just down below. So yeah, I think tags are helpful, especially for trans people who want to like find other trans people. But for if you're part of any kind of community like that, you should definitely be using the tag for it. The only other way to find specifically, a community like that is to put it in your stream title. But I feel like putting something like that in your stream title opens you up to abuse in some ways. Like, just like it's a little more like you're putting it out front and center instead of just having it as a tag, So, I don't know, maybe your mileage may vary. Either way is fine, I guess. But I think tags are definitely a great way to supplement your discoverability. Anybody can stream to any tag, right? So use tags like to benefit your growth. Collabing with other streamers too, finding ways to have crossover content, watching other streamers, participating in chat. Growing on Twitch doesn't have to be scary. It can be fun. you can just enjoy the platform and go make friends on it and still find ways to grow. If you're thinking about rating somebody, try to find, other streamers who are like about your size or like do very similar things to you, or with, you have a lot of audience crossover, and then go support them and give them shout outs and stuff, There's a tool that I used to use. I'm trying to figure out the name of it. It doesn't really matter. Basically, if you should look at like what times certain categories are best for like accumulating like new viewers. So like there are certain times of the day when a certain category might have, a higher viewer to streamer ratio. Finding like categories where there are fewer streamers but more viewers, or more streamers but fewer viewers. Like experimenting with, time of day and what category and stuff can be really helpful for growing.
Yes, twitchstrike.com.
Yeah, Twitch Strike, that's what it is. Twitch Strike.
Yeah, twitchstrike.com. If someone can put that in the chat, twitchstrike.com will show you like kind of like a heat map, basically, of like a certain category in a certain game in certain times, like what's happening in that category at certain times. I remember I used Twitch Strike back when I was streaming Animal Crossing for like a little bit of a time, and I discovered that like there was a really good spot in the mornings to stream Animal Crossing, and when I would do it, I would get like a ton of followers because there just wasn't as many people streaming that game at that time. That's really, really important because as we're talking about category placement, discoverability, category placement is like the biggest thing. And I always know, like, for someone at my level, like I can always tell like where I'm at in the category without even looking, based solely on follower rate, like follower gain rate. Like I can, like if I'm seeing followers like every few minutes or every so often, that tells me, okay, I'm probably high in the category right now without even looking at my viewership. If it's slow and I'm not seeing followers for like half an hour, like an hour, then okay, we're probably a little buried here. But there just isn't, because there are so many outside of tags, because there's just so many people streaming. It's really the Twitch algorithm. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it exists. I don't know like how Twitch determines how to like recommend streamers on this side. It's based on, to my knowledge, it's based on like what you watch a lot of. If you watch a lot of Mario Kart, it's gonna recommend some other Mario Kart streamers down here outside of people that you follow. That's the difficult thing about it on Twitch, is that discoverability is very, very difficult. If you're not up there in that category, that's why we're talking about earlier finding other platforms to hopefully bring viewers in, because that's been one of the things we struggle with, is like what do you do about discoverability on Twitch? Like what other options do you have outside of like finding a category that you can succeed in?
Yeah, this is like some great advice. I think that we would all agree to say that discoverability on Twitch has changed. It's still very much mostly in terms of viewership. Like the streamers that have the most viewership tend to just continue to suck everyone into their channels like a black hole, while everyone else at the bottom is like, kind of competing and fighting for the rest of the viewers. There's so many people streaming that are at that level, right? So there's so many different options for what people want to watch. I think that game selection and choosing what you stream actually has changed as well, because, you could play, old story games and people would watch you all the way through. But I feel like, and you guys can share your experiences if you guys have played story games, like I feel like it's harder to play games like Witcher 3 and stuff like that, because there's just so many streamers out there that the second that you're playing something that they don't want to watch, there's just so many options for them to watch something else. And not even with story games, but just like new games, I feel like they fade so fast because everyone just watches like the first day and then they're kind of over it and they just go to watching. It's like having like a TV that has like 10 channels versus now a TV that has a million channels. Like there's just, you can find exactly what you want at any time. And I think that makes it so that viewers are just less loyal, or just less, like sticking with you no matter what you do, kind of thing.
I have something to add on the story game front. I think if you're gonna plan on if you're committed to doing, an old-timey story game, find a reason that people will want to watch it. Nobody's gonna want to watch Witcher 3 just to watch you play Witcher 3. They're going to want to watch you because you're doing something really weird with it, or you're providing some kind of entertainment value in addition to it. You're really funny, or you're really, you're trying to glitch through like a speed run. Or the only time I ever had success, and it's funny you mentioned Witcher 3 because it's another one of these. It's a story game. The only time I ever had like fun success on a story game like that was when I spent all night trying to find a way to mod the game so that I could play as a cute lady instead of Geralt. And I only played about 45 minutes of the game. The rest of it was just me frustrated, trying to like figure out how to do this, and chat egging me on. And so like finding ways to provide the entertainment value is key if you're committed to doing this. But just know that there are plenty of other ways you could grow that don't involve playing, Bayonetta.
Yeah. And I feel like that that kind of reminds me of like Skyrim, which is like a game that everyone and their mother has literally played. But like if you're modding it, people just love to see that process of like figuring out what mods you want to use and trying to make the game work. And then, I don't know. I don't know how many people still like Skyrim, but it is kind of one of those games that people definitely like to check out if you are putting a spin on it. Dylan, have you had any experience like diving into a story game?
Yeah, and it didn't work for me at all. Yeah, no. For me, that's actually something that's really interesting with the streaming journey, is discovering the hard way that things don't work for you, and having the realization to pivot. Like, okay, this isn't working. I run away. So like I discovered that I like to talk. I like to interact with chat. It's what I do best. And so when recently, I'll just tell you, like I tried to go all in on Mass Effect because I was a huge Mass Effect fan. It fit the Star Wars-y space thing that I was doing. So I was like hyped for Mass Effect. I bought an outfit for it and everything. And I was like really, really excited about it. And then I did like 2 streams of it and I was like, oh, this is not going to work at all, because just sitting through cutscenes and all that and not talking to chat just was not me at all. It wasn't working at all. And I don't even know. I mean, I think people were enjoying it, but I wasn't. Like it wasn't what I like to do. And so I immediately had to make a pivot. So I would like to ask like the rest of y'all, like has that ever happened to you where you got excited about something that you were going to do for your stream and either like you discover like, oh, this isn't working, or the numbers aren't great, or I'm just not enjoying it? And was it difficult to like make a change and have to like stop doing that?
All the time. All the time. If you're doing like variety gaming or you're trying new things, which you should, like don't be afraid to try new things. Sometimes you have to cut it. Like, it could be you're having a lot of fun, but your viewership is down, or you're not having fun, your viewership's up, but you're just not liking it. It's not working. Like, don't feel compelled to play through an entire story just because you said you were going to play a game. Like, don't get married to any game if it's just not working out. And this could be, when I say like your viewership's down, like you don't have to run away from every game that's hurting your viewership. Like, you should play games you are having fun with. But if it's really bad for your numbers and it's going on for a long time, like there is long-term damage to your channel that will happen if you keep playing games that are bad for your channel. And I know it's like, it sucks to kind of hear that. And, if you're just streaming for fun, like don't listen to this. But if you're trying to grow, like you do have to make those hard decisions. Like some games are just not like stream friendly.
Yeah, I've definitely gone through. Yeah, that just never stops, having to experiment with what types of games and what types of content work for your channel. If you're not like sticking to one singular game your entire streaming career, yeah, it never stops. There are some games that I think are like in my niche that people will like, but they apparently not. I was wrong. And even though I enjoyed it, I wasn't enjoying it enough to like sit through, seeing my numbers tank so much. And similarly, yeah, we kind of touched on this, but there's some games that you really enjoy playing, but you might not enjoy streaming them. Like I have to have some games that I play exclusively off stream. Like I like some strategy games and like games like, these are 2 very different games, but games like Pikmin, where you There's a lot of strategy involved in games like Civilization 6, where there's a lot of strategy involved in different ways. And I love those games, but they're just not for streaming, at least for me. Regardless of viewership, I just don't enjoy it. I get really, I don't know, overstimulated and stressed out trying to keep up with everything. So it's an experiment of finding what works for your numbers and your viewership, and it's also an experiment in figuring out what you truly enjoy streaming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for me, yeah, it was that moment of realization that like, I mean, I love a game like Mass Effect. I love an RPG but I like to sink my teeth into it, into these cutscenes and these moments. It's a very intimate thing for me. And I was discovering that as I was streaming this, I was like, oh, I'm not getting into the story nearly the way I want to right now, because I'm over here looking at, you know, on the right side, looking at chat. There's a resub, someone saying, "Hey, Dylan, how's it going?" I'm like, "Please shut up. Liara's talking right now." And so like, and I just wasn't working at all. And I had that realization, like, oh, okay, I can't do story games on stream because that's an off stream thing that I can get into, and it's more immersive for me that way.
Yeah. All right. So this question I'm really excited about to ask you guys. How has your content shifted or evolved over time?
Mm-hmm. When I started streaming, I was family friendly. And anybody that watches me now would probably be very surprised to hear that, because I curse so much and talk about so many mature topics. But I started making Animal Crossing content, and that has a very, large, younger viewership. So I was just, it just felt like I needed to be family friendly for that. But as I started making other types of content and doing variety streaming, I got so bored of being family friendly, because that just wasn't the type of content I wanted to make. So I had to slowly start
Swearing?
transitioning over. Yeah. So like I would have my Animal Crossing Sundays where I was family friendly for Animal Crossing, but the other days of the week I was not. And I was really afraid that it would really affect my viewership, and that people wouldn't stick around if I changed my content so much. But doing it gradually really helped, and it made me enjoy streaming a lot more, regardless of the games that I was playing. So I stuck with Animal Crossing, which was what got me the more viewership, but still pivoted to being less family friendly, because I did not enjoy that.
Yeah. Did that hurt your chances with sponsors, with brands? Like, did you feel any shift with how companies viewed you?
I think at that time, it was pretty early on in my streaming. I wasn't really working with any companies at that point, so I don't really have any perspective on how that might have changed that. But I do know that I'm not family friendly now, and I, get some deals with brands and companies. So, you're not going to rule out everybody. I know there are some brands that look exclusively for family friendly creators, but definitely not all of them.
When I started Twitch streaming, I had a very strict no politics rule. I was extremely I was very, very no politics in this stream. This is a role play stream. I don't want politics here. I was very, very anti political discussion in my chat. And I gave an article to, I don't remember if it was Kotaku or somebody, who were asking about politics streamers. And I made a commitment, and I said, I think I would like to start talking about politics more, because, current events, world events have changed, and I feel like a kind of a duty to use my platform for good. And so I changed that, and I do have political discussions on my stream now quite a bit. And I want to say that I haven't had any kind of negative blowback from sponsors at all. I haven't seen any, no sponsors have dropped me, companies still want to work with me. It's not going to be the end of the world, I'm not a particularly family friendly stream. There's a lot of more adult humor on my stream. It's not really meant for kids. And so, And so I worried for a long time that like, oh, sponsors are never going to want to work with me. I'll never have these deals that I see other streamers having. But it's just not true. I mean, companies understand what a Twitch stream is. They understand that, you're going to have to be provocative sometimes in order to accrue an audience.
Yeah.
So it's not a detriment to be, to be entertaining or to sort of try to cater to a more adult audience, or be a little more political or anything like that. Stuff is not gonna tank your stream whatsoever.
Yeah, and I feel like you shouldn't really hold who you are back. If anything, you should, you like with streaming and entertainment, you want to exacerbate, your energy a little bit, your like personality quirks, right? Like that's what makes you you. And that's what people want to see is, you being more of your natural self and not being too reserved or guarded, minimized, I guess. And also with the politics thing, I feel like that's just like the space has changed a lot, where companies, with 2020 and everything that has happened recently, like I feel like first of all, talking about politics is kind of something that's hard to avoid. And some would argue that as a creator, it's kind of like a responsibility, if you have like an audience, if you have influential power, that you should use that for good, and to empower other people and issues that are happening in the world. So I feel like companies are more it's not so taboo to talk about politics, to be political, even just on socials and stuff. That's changed a lot in the last year for sure.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest change over the course of this like year plus of streaming is less so to do with like, I was streaming this game, now I'm streaming this game, and more so to do with like, I used to be someone who used to never use like voice comms in games, or have people like talking on stream with me. And then now that's all I do. And I made a discovery along the way that like, oh, hey, like I'm really good at talking with people, and I'm really good at working a room. And having people on voice, and I can still interact with chat, it's perfectly fine, but having people on voice brought out the absolute best in myself, in my channel, because it made things way more lively. Like having these different personalities in my ear. Like I've had people recently who I've played randomly with on stream that they stream themselves, and I would use that opportunity to like interview them and talk about what do they do, and thank you for being here and all that, and tell people a little bit about your stream. And so now all of a sudden I've gone from just being this person over here streaming this one game or whatever, to now it's much more of like a party interactive atmosphere. It's a big change, and I still have kept the same vibe in terms of I still keep it PG-13 and all that, and I tell people that, and they're very respectful of that, which is really cool. But just being way more interactive, leaning into your strengths more. Like along this journey, no matter where you are, you're going to realize things about yourself. And what are the strengths that you thought you had or that you weren't really leaning into? You're going to want to start leaning into them more, because you want the best version of yourself on stream. And so don't be afraid to like, hey, I used to not do this, but I'm going to try doing this now. You'll never realize it until you try it, and you'll discover that, oh, this is what I should have been doing the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the opposite experience. Funny enough, with like doing voice chat and co-op streams, like with you, it seems like it made you more lively and brought out the best in yourself. But for me, it's so incredibly like socially draining. Like my battery just goes from 100 to 0 so quickly. And if there are more people I'm talking to, even if they're my best friends, like even if I really enjoy hanging out with them and playing games with them, if I'm doing that while streaming and trying to keep up with chat and alerts and the game and what everybody's talking about, it is just it's too much for me, and it would leave me feeling just dead after stream. And I wanted to do it because it was getting to a point where it was the time where everybody was playing Among Us, and everybody was having these big lobbies, and I felt left out because I wasn't joining those things. But not every popular thing is going to be for you or work for you, and that's okay. But it took me, like you said, you never know if you don't try. So I'm glad I tried, but now I know it's not for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the big reasons I founded Transmission Gaming, it's a Discord server for trans people, and one of the big reasons I founded it was because a lot of trans people have a lot of hesitation to get into like voice chat with group games like Overwatch or Valorant or whatever. It's like it's a few layers of scary, right? You know, it's like being a woman, being queer, being trans, and having, you know, just random people just there is kind of a scary experience sometimes. So I founded Transmission Gaming so that trans people could like have a place where it was just trans people where we could just be on voice together. Like there's a lot more stuff now. Like nowadays it's like it's huge, but that was why it was founded, was to, you know, provide a place for trans people to just be able to talk on voice with each other so that we wouldn't have to like, you know, hop into random lobbies.
That's awesome. So my content has definitely shifted a lot over the years, and I want to talk about the just chatting category a bit because it actually ties into our discussion about discoverability. So again, back in my day when I was streaming 7 years ago, there was no just chatting category. Like there was no chatting. Like it was you couldn't
IRL,
even
right?
like it was even before IRL. There was like just gaming, and you actually weren't even allowed to just chat on your stream. Like you had to gaming still had to be the focus on your content. Like you could talk obviously, but gaming still had to be there. Like you couldn't like not game for like if you weren't gaming and just chatting for like 30 minutes or something, that was technically against the rules or something. It was like it was weird. It's weird to think about. But yeah, then there was IRL and then there was just chatting. So just chatting is something that for me, I over time, you know, that became a big part of my channel, was just like the warm up of you get on, and I think now most streamers do this, where you get on the stream and you just kind of sit and say hi to everyone that's coming in and you chat for a bit. You just kind of have like a nice, like, you know, kind of welcoming time for everyone that's coming into the channel. And that was something that I really loved. Like Dylan has said, I also really enjoy talking. I enjoy chatting and just getting into like weird, funny conversations, random topics, talking about life, like getting into like really deep conversations as well. I love doing that stuff. And so that actually, over time, as just chatting was like a super popular category, that became like a huge thing that I just really love to do, where, you know, I was streaming for 6 hours and I was spending like half of that doing just chatting. You know, and that's gotten to the point where now it's for me, and I do less gaming now and more chatting, because just like a bunch of different reasons. It's just been something I've been super into. So just chatting is really interesting because that is one of the most consistently popular categories on Twitch, and it is one that I think a lot of streamers actually get a lot of their discoverability from. Like I have found that when I'm just chatting, I get more people coming in, I get more follows and stuff than when I'm playing a game. Even though that game may be popular, maybe I'm in a good position, but I find that it's actually the chatting part of my streams that people really love. Do you guys stream under just chatting? Have you guys had experience with, you know, growing in discoverability in that category?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I do a segment called the Nikatine News Network. We discuss current events and terrible news articles, and I find a lot of discoverability from just chatting.
Yeah, I always start my streams with about like pretty much at least 45 minutes or an hour of chatting. And I've really gone back and forth on actually using the just chatting category, because even though there are more viewers coming in, there's also more like trolls coming in. So I've gone really back and forth on using it or not. But yeah, I love starting with just chatting, especially if, you know, you're like a community oriented, you know, interaction oriented stream. It's so nice to just sit and chat before getting into, you know, a time where you're going to be focusing a lot more on something else rather than chat, even if you are keeping up a conversation. Yeah, I like just chatting.
Nice. Dylan, what about you?
Well, unfortunately, it's the opposite on my end. As someone like as a growing affiliate, my viewership level is at a certain point where if I go into just chatting, like I won't have any discoverability versus like the game categories that I mainline. So even though I do still like at the start of my streams, like we do just chatting, I always just still start in like the category that I'm in, or the thing that we're going to be doing, because just chatting is so super saturated. So for someone who's under that partnership area of viewership, and this isn't for everyone. It's telling you like how it is for me. Like it's I the times that I've done just chatting streams, or I've done streams that are primarily in just chatting, like yeah, there's been no like gains from that, and it's only because of just how saturated it is. So if you're at a certain viewership level, obviously it can work for you. But yeah.
So I have a question for you, Dylan, because you just did some IRL streaming. What was that like for you, on Twitch?
So it went decently well in terms of viewership, and just the stream itself. The viewership was fine. And again, I always say this, like, yeah, a lot of people that have followed me for like Knockout City right now, like, you know, a lot of them didn't show up, a lot of them did show up, because obviously there wasn't the content that they normally do, but that's why the power of like networking is so important, because I still got my normal raids that I normally get from the people that I collaborate with. So that allowed me to still have the successful streams that I normally had. It was really great, because I was nervous about going away. I'm sure we can talk about this later, about taking breaks from streaming and the ups and downs of that, but I was nervous about like leaving the stream with everything that we got going on right now. And so I ended up live streaming from Orlando like all the days that I was normally going to be live, and it ended up being a great experience. And it was something that I had discovered along the way, like, oh, I got to do this more, like this is great, but regardless of whether the viewership is up or down, whatever, it was just such a great thing to do. And I ended up discovering like people in the chat like were so excited about it, because they'd never been to these places, and they were like, thank you for taking us on this adventure, this was a lot of fun. And I had a really insane moment that happened on Monday, where I was walking around Disney Springs, downtown Disney, and some guy was like yelling at me, hey yo. And I turned around and he was watching the stream on his phone. I have no idea how he could have possibly have found the stream. That was really surreal. But it led to some really amazing moments and clippable moments and all that. And yeah, the discoverability, actually we did end up like in that category, which was the travels and outdoors category. It was pretty decent. Like we got a number of follows throughout those streams, because people were like, oh, I see you're live at Magic Kingdom, cool, I'm like Disney World, I'd love to see this. So yeah, it wasn't that bad. There's definitely an opportunity there if anyone like wants to IRL stream at all. It's not a dense category. Like there's opportunities there.
Yeah, I feel like most people, even if they're doing IRL, they still stream under just chatting. Like even talk shows, they do under just chatting. Like we're in the talk show directory because it's literally talk show month on Twitch. But I see people do everything under the just chatting category, just because there's so many viewers there.
Yeah, I would say no. I would say, like, if you're gonna go IRL, check out the travel and outdoors. There's several channels. Under like because I went live on the Twitch app on the phone, the IRL, and there's like a bunch of different categories to choose from. So I chose travel and outdoors because I was traveling outdoors. And yeah, we ended up like getting better discoverability in that than I would have ever gotten if I was just streaming and just chatting, for sure.
Nice. I want to ask, are there any tools that y'all use that you want to shout out that is just like helpful to your work? It could be anything free or paid. It could be for any aspect of streaming. Like what's a valuable tool that creators may not know about?
Well, like aside from chatbots like Stream Elements or Moobot, I just think like stuff like Discord and Twitter, they're free and they're great for discoverability and building a community and stuff. So.
Oh, something that I've been using recently, because I've been having a lot of frame drop issues, and I think I've had some internet issues even while we've been streaming here. But I've been using, what is this program called? Twitch bandwidth test. You can test all the different. I think there's a couple. The one I use specifically is Twitch bandwidth test, but I think that's another one where you can just check mark all the Twitch servers in your region and see which ones have the best connection. And it's wild that it changes day to day. Sometimes I stream to the Chicago one, sometimes the Atlanta one for the best connection. but yeah, that's been really helpful for me, and it's helped a lot with my stream quality issues.
Nice.
Yeah. I would want to shout out Capwing. It's Kapwing. It actually is it has a lot of like basic video editing tools. It's online. It's free as far as I can see for the most part. The biggest thing that I use with Capwing is the captioner. You can actually import a video and it can generate auto captions for your video. So if you're doing like clips for Twitter, like we mentioned earlier, it is amazing. It's something that I even use, and I don't know any video editing things, and I don't have a lot of time. I usually like pay people to do things that I don't have time for. So it's something that even I use to generate captions. It's very easy, very user friendly. It's free. And again, they've expanded their tool base, so they have a lot of like basic video editing tools. So if you need something free, if you're kind of a noob at this stuff like I am, definitely check out Capwing. That's my shout out. Dylan, did you have one you wanted to add?
One thing I would say, this is kind of like a broader thing, but channel points. First, if you're an affiliate or partner, whatever, like interactive channel point rewards are a really, really cool feature, especially like if you have sound alerts and sound commands or things like. There's so many different creative things you can do with your channel point system. Basically, people watch your stream and they earn channel points. And then you can create a lot of different commands where they can interact with your game, where it's like, hey, I'll play this certain character for you. Or, I have one, Dylan asks a question, where it's an interactive thing where I'll ask, chat a question to get, chat going and get the chat stimulated. Or I have things like changing the background of my stream. Like if I say, hey, I'm blocking it. Yeah, there he goes. You can change the color behind me. Like channel points are a huge tool. Use them because it's a great way for people to interact directly with your stream. They want to spam sound alerts or whatever. It's fun and it makes the stream, come alive for them.
Yeah. So let's move on to our next category about like partners and affiliate. And I want to talk about the affiliate program because I didn't realize that all of our panelists here, besides me, have been an affiliate. You guys were actually, here when the affiliate program was launched. So I want to talk to you guys about your experience for, those who have surpassed being an affiliate, but also a more recent affiliate here on the panel today. What has your experience been like with the Twitch affiliate program?
So I'm in this very unique position where I became an affiliate as soon as affiliates became a thing. So I know exactly what it was like to be an affiliate at the very get-go. And when you became an affiliate, when they launched the affiliate program, they also lowered the requirements for partner at the same time. So when you become an affiliate, back then you only got like one emote. And then you started to get 3 emotes, like 1 per each tier. And then now there's like, you can have up to 5 emotes or maybe more now. But I remember distinctly when it happened because a bunch of partners went onto Twitter and they were like, how dare Twitch let affiliates have more emotes, blah, blah, blah. They're going to steal our views. And there's this attitude on you're laughing, Lowco, because you know it. You've heard this argument before. There's a ton of people out there who thoroughly, like with all their heart, believe that, other people getting a thing is gonna lower their success, which is not true on Twitch. I mean, any person is like thoroughly capable of watching more than one streamer. You don't have to, you're not bound, by blood and curses to one single streamer. So
well, I don't know about you, but here, yes, that actually is a thing.
I indoctrinate mine too, so. But other streamers getting a thing is not going to lower your success. So, I think it's perfectly fine that affiliates get more emotes. I don't think there's a problem there at all.
Okay, I am so glad we're talking about this, and I saw someone Memory said this in chat. Okay, this is my moment. I've been waiting for this moment. Okay, we're on the front page of Twitch. I'm sure they're watching, so hear me out. Okay, yes, as affiliates, it is absolutely absurd that we only get 5 emote slots. Now I have access to follower emotes now, which is cool. But like I don't see it, and I'm sure my partners here, like you all, it doesn't it doesn't like grind your gears if somehow affiliates suddenly had 10 emote slots, right? It's not like this giant incentive. It's for me, emotes are all about creating a culture for your channel, and they're massive to that. And I feel like 5 is just such a small number that simply doubling that to 10 would be huge. And here's another reason why that doesn't make any sense, why they limit affiliate emote slots. To my knowledge, Twitch gets a higher cut of the sub rate from affiliates than they do from partners, especially partners who can negotiate a higher cut of the sub rate. So why would they not want to incentivize affiliates to be able to push for more emote slots, since they're going to get a higher cut of that sub rate? So yeah, like I don't understand that. I think it's massive to helping creators create a culture to their channel, and I just like more emote slots would be great. As far as like the experience of me being an affiliate, that's like the biggest thing, is that it's helped me create a culture with sub badges and emotes and all that. I mean, I get ad rates and all that do like nothing for my channel at all. But just being able to directly monetize is just easier for people. They're just, the Twitch culture is built into like gifting subs and giving bits and all that. Like I can tell people, like I have a tip page. It's right there in my exclamation point support. Nobody uses it. Like no one ever tips the stream, but they give bits, they give subs, they subscribe to the channel, and that's important to them. So they giving creators who are just starting out, who are in their first year of streaming or whatever, that ability to have those sorts of things is huge. And I do love, I like what the affiliate program has been able to do for me. I just would like to see things like, I mean, give us some more emote slots. Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm actually, I love that you brought that up, because that is something that I have thought of for so long. Like I think that there should not be a cap on how many emotes you have. Like you should affiliates should have access to the same amount of like tiers as partners. If there's an affiliate that has 10,000 subs, like they should have all 50 or 60 emotes or whatever. Like there are affiliates that have more subs than some partners. Like it doesn't make any sense to limit affiliates for how many emotes they can get. If they deserve that many emotes, give them the emotes. Like I 100% agree with you. It does not make sense to cap it at 5. Like it's a huge hindrance. If they have earned it, like they deserve it. Seriously.
Yeah. Again, it's money in Twitch's pocket. So if you said right now that, hey, if I'm an affiliate and I get to 200 sub points, we can unlock an additional sub, emote slot. That is money for Twitch. Like, you know what I mean? You're capping us from helping you make money right now. So like, yes, please, more slots, please.
Yeah. So I want to ask about being a Twitch partner. What does being a Twitch partner mean to you all? And, for Dylan, like what would being a Twitch partner mean to you?
Well,
go ahead, Misha.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that so many people view Twitch partner as like the goal, like the thing on Twitch that you are working for. You want to be a partner, and once you reach partner, like you're going to be successful and you're going to, have it all. But, just like becoming a Twitch affiliate or hitting a certain sub goal, like it's just a part of the journey. It is not, or should not be, an end goal, because there is so much more after that. Like getting partnered on Twitch was just the beginning for me. And it's awesome because I love emotes so much. So I was very happy to have so many more emote slots, and I agree that there should be more for affiliates. But yeah, getting partnered was really awesome to be validated by Twitch, and for them to say like, hey, you're a good streamer that represents the platform. You're becoming successful. Here's checkmark, here's emotes, more things for the community to have access to. With, I think at the time, affiliates didn't get sub badges. There's a lot of things that affiliates didn't get that now they do, which is awesome. But yeah, it's definitely worthy of celebration. It's a huge accomplishment, but it's definitely not an end goal. And I think people need to realize that and internalize that.
Right. Nikatine, what about you?
Your journey never stops. It doesn't stop. It doesn't get suddenly magically better with a check mark. You don't get like a just a surprise, you're successful now kind of a thing. It never stops. So don't look at it like that. you're still gonna have to do all the same things that you did before. You're still gonna have to build a community. You're still gonna have to stream. Like, you're still gonna have to do all those things. So don't ever treat any milestone like that like it's the end game. You know, unless you're planning on, well, I hit partners, so now I'm gonna retire. Like, you're still gonna have to do things. You know, the same things you were doing before and more.
Right.
So don't plan on it, and don't plan for it, and don't expect anything different. You know, keep being a streamer, keep doing what you're doing, and keep growing, and don't look at it like the end.
Someone in chat is saying, what would be the end goal then? Is there an end goal? I don't know. It just
No.
like,
It never stops. You just keep, yeah, like Nikatine said, it's a journey, and a negative part of it is like when, at least for me, the imposter syndrome, like when you achieve something or accomplish something, you have a success. It's awesome and amazing, and you celebrate it. But then, I don't know, you're looking for the next thing to achieve. Like, okay, well, I got, this amount of followers. What's next? I got to keep pushing. I got to keep going. Like, there's always something more that you can achieve, and always something more you can be doing to be improving your content and growing your community. And it can be really stressful to, keep putting that on yourself. So you really have to find a balance of, celebrating your accomplishments, but also realizing that there isn't really an end goal, and it's a journey that you're going to be on until you decide you don't want to be on it anymore. Yeah, or die. Yeah.
Dylan, what about you? What would being a Twitch partner mean to you?
I don't see, like, is that like a goal of mine? Sure. Like, maybe a few months ago it wasn't something that was realistic, but like getting a partnership with the game and all that's coming with that, it's now something that's like, oh, it's over there, like it's all the way over there, but I can actually see it now. It's actually like possible. But it's definitely like, it's not like the end game. If there is an end game in my mind, it's like fully realizing myself as a creator and doing what I think I was truly called to do. Because at the end of the day, like, I don't see myself being like a gamer creator, like, personally. Like, I doing those IRL streams, I discovered like, oh yeah, like I'm really funny and personable, and like interacting with people live, like out in those settings, like that doing things like that, and doing potentially like a talk show format, that might be the end game. Like that could ultimately be what I do on this platform, and there's a ways to go before I can get to that place where I'm doing those sort of things. And so in the meantime, like getting partnered on Twitch just sort of in lesser terms, it kind of like legitimizes you. It helps you get into some rooms that you currently can't if you're an affiliate, right? Because now it's like people take you seriously. You got a check mark, so like you must be a real streamer. Like that's kind of like why I would even want to get partnered, is just to have that additional access that I currently may not have now, that I don't know that I don't have access to. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so that's, yeah, I definitely don't look at it as the end game. It's not like I'm gonna get partnered, celebrate, we're gonna have a partner stream anniversary or whatever, and it's like, yay, we made it, like, cool, everybody. No, it's more so like that's a stepping stone to hopefully like whatever the end game is, like, as a creator.
Yeah, for sure. So before we move on to our next subject, I just want to, if you're from the front page right now, the front page promotion is about to end, so make sure you click over to the channel if you want to continue the rest of our discussion for today. We do still have a couple of great questions that we're going to go over, great topics. So yeah, front page is about to end, but make sure you click over so you can come and watch the rest of the show. So our next subject is going to be about marginalized creators. This has been something that has changed a lot over, especially the last year, with Twitch trying to make more of an effort to, create more of an inclusive and safe space for marginalized both viewers and creators. So how has y'all's experience changed on Twitch over the years?
Well, like I said when we started, when I was very new to Twitch 5 years ago or whatever, we had communities, the Twitch tool called communities, which were basically user-generated tags, and that was amazing for discoverability and viewership, and that was what a lot of streams were like sort of made on. A lot of streams really took off because of communities. So having that sort of taken away was a big blow to a lot of people. I think if you're a streamer getting into Twitch now, don't rely on tools like tags, for instance. Don't rely on any Twitch product because it might not be there tomorrow. Find ways to cultivate an audience, off platform. I think that was probably the biggest thing that changed for me in my Twitch career was the removal of communities in exchange for the tag system, the broken tag system.
Dylan, Misha?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I kind of came in at the very end of the communities tool. But, when we first got tags, which was pretty recently, it was only content categories. And with the removal of those communities, like how are marginalized creators supposed to, like marginalized communities supposed to find each other? You can create Twitch teams, but you have to be a partner to create a Twitch team.
Right.
So not everybody can do that. Not everybody can join one. And, there's networking on social media, but it's so important, I think, for Twitch specifically to have, tools from especially marginalized communities to find each other. And I'm glad that they have added identity tags to allow that a bit more. Because like I said, I get the most of the tags that I use, I get the most views from the LGBT plus category. But I also think we need to have more than just 5 tags, because asking us to limit ourselves to 5 tags, both for our content and for our personal identities, is just impossible. Like, I'm always having to sacrifice something when I'm adding my tags. So it's progressing, but has a ways to go, especially with there are just so many very offensive, racist, transphobic, etc. usernames that aren't just automatically blocked by Twitch, which that is something that is a really huge thing that I think they need to work on, and hopefully they are. But yeah, that's something where we have a ways to go.
Yeah, the tag system, do you think that communities was better? Do you think Twitch should bring that back? Do you think, how are you feeling about the tag system, especially with the recent addition of hundreds of new identity tags, including a specific trans tag? What's it like now with tags?
We begged and pleaded and yelled and screamed and stomped our feet for 3 years for Twitch to finally add a tag system. I rue the day when tags is no longer a thing, when they replace tags with some other tool, because we're gonna have, I mean, if we can't ensure trans discoverability now, then we're gonna go through the exact same song and dance with whatever they replace it with, right? We had discoverability with communities was replaced. We now finally, after 3 years, have discoverability with tags might get replaced. So I don't know. I think the only thing that any of us can really do is try to ensure trans discoverability or minority discoverability in other avenues, right?
I was gonna say, like, if the platform is not gonna do or it isn't doing the things that we need them to do, be loud. Be loud about it and be louder about it, right? Like, and we have to support each other. Like, I make it a priority as often as I possibly can to raid either, a streamer of color, a queer streamer. When Lowco, I mean, I don't even know if you know this, when you asked me to find you a video editor, I specifically went to the first queer editor that I knew. Was I wanted to give that opportunity to someone that may not have gotten that opportunity otherwise, right? So, like, and all that being said, like, we have to, if they're not going to do it for us, then we have to be loud and we have to be proactive about it. As marginalized creators, like, you have to, we take to the streets, you know what I mean? In that sense, right? Take to the streets and let them know what we need. And if they're not going to give it to us, like, then we have to take more action and be proactive about getting their attention. And giving and uplifting ourselves and uplifting those around us, and amplifying our own voices as much as we possibly can.
And what could Twitch be doing to build a safer space for marginalized creators?
better moderation techniques, better, more robust auto mod system that doesn't, think your name is a slur.
Mm-hmm.
Better auto mod detection that does correctly identify names that are slurs, and being able to to lower the access that certain chatters might have for accounts that were created like that afternoon or the afternoon before. Being able to share block lists, ban lists between your community or, between your Twitch team, having like a shared block list for a team would be amazing.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so like there's tons of things Twitch could do to improve the experience for marginalized creators.
Yeah, and related to like the ban list thing, also not allowing people who are, they might have changed this recently, not allowing people who are banned to be able to still watch your content.
Yes.
That makes me feel so unsafe that I could ban someone that was making me feel unsafe, but they're still watching my stream and consuming my content. Like that's should not be a thing. And also with the moderation tools, I think there needs to be more moderation tools, not just with viewers, but also with streamers. We have seen so many incredibly awful things come from streamers on Twitch and even partnered streamers. And so often they get just a slap on the wrist, a 3-day ban, a 2-week ban, whatever it is. And it's not enough when they're doing such terribly racist, transphobic, sexist things on this platform. And that's who's representing the platform. There needs to be more done for both viewers and streamers to make marginalized community safer.
Absolutely. Especially like when you talk about Twitch partners that are acting out in that way, in a way that's deliberately harmful. Like it's one thing to like maybe accidentally show something you shouldn't, or, like you talk crap about someone, like, but if you're like actually actively harassing someone and like sending people to their channel, like there's been a couple cases of this where it's as clear as day, like you are harassing someone, like that person should not be a partner anymore. I think Twitch needs to kind of create some higher standards, and not in terms of just their viewer count, but actually in terms of the way that they act, their behavior and their attitude, like actually do some in-depth screening of these people before you just say, oh, they have the viewer count, let me just give them the badge. I feel like if you have that badge, it should mean that it does mean you're a representative of Twitch, so I feel like they should be harsher with just removing it, like even like screening them.
Yeah, 100%. And as Twitch grows, like especially the way it grew over this last year, the reporting, security, privacy team, that has to continue to grow, right? Because it's got to be easier to report these things, and it's got to be quicker and more efficient for these things, like action to be taken on these things, instead of letting it fester and allow people who are like literally harassing other creators on the platform to just sit there for weeks and weeks and weeks and not, like, nothing's being done about it. So yeah.
Yeah. What tips would you give to a marginalized creator starting out today?
Find a community. Find your people. Find your people. Do so with tags. Do so on Discord. Do so by asking around. Just find your people, and eventually you'll be able to, make some friends, have like a really fun time on the platform, and then go from there. Don't start out without a support network, is I guess my point. Twitch is it can be a very hostile place for minorities. Not Twitch the company, but Twitch users can be extremely hostile to minorities. So have a support network, have people who are willing to, listen to you talk about it, or, willing to help you mod or do things that can like improve your experience, because it's going to be very easy to get burned out very quickly as a minority on this platform. It's hostile.
Yeah. And also you don't have to be the bigger person. Like when you have a troll or just something awful happen in your chat, so often over the years I've heard, don't feed the trolls, don't pay them any mind. And if that's the way you want to operate, that's okay. But that can be really, really degrading, especially over time, just seeing so much awful things in your chat and never saying anything about it. So like you should just know that you don't have to be silent, like standing up against awful things that people say. One can educate other people that might be watching, that might have those mindsets, but might be, open to hearing the more progressive right mindset about it. And also just helps cultivate a space where those things aren't welcome. Like just banning them, of course, removes those people. But when you speak up about it, you make it known, what your space is and isn't about. That really helps, bring your people together. Like Nikatine was saying, getting that community of like-minded individuals. So don't always feel you have to tell the trolls off, but don't feel like you always have to take the high road or be the bigger person, because you don't have to.
Mm-hmm. So we have just a few more questions before we wrap up today. I definitely want to talk about this point from Serena, who asked on Twitter, how do you all handle the juxtaposition of my numbers are awesome and oh my god, that stream felt terrible, I must be doing something wrong?
I mean, you're gonna have any streamer who has the very human reaction of wanting to be successful and trying to take actions to become successful is gonna get that. You're gonna have really good days and you're gonna have really bad days. You might even have really good months and have really bad months, but you should take that and either spend a little bit of time to reflect and say okay, well, maybe it's this and this and this is how I can fix it, or just don't fixate on it. A lot of new streamers will spend all of their time looking at their analytics page or looking at third-party analytics sites to try to uncover some dark secret about how to succeed on Twitch. But the answer is that you just have to do the basic things. You have to stream consistently, you have to provide some kind of value, do the basic things. Don't worry about having good days and bad days, because those are going to happen. What happens is what matters is what happens on a long-term scale.
Right. Yeah, I would say, if your viewer count is swinging your mood a lot, I don't look at my viewer count and, until after the stream. I look at my viewer count after a couple days of just trying to analyze my content, not in a way that, oh, this stream was up, this stream was down, because I feel like day to day that is gonna, if you're watching your viewer count change, especially if you're watching it hour by hour while you're streaming, that can really influx your mood a lot. And I feel like it can hurt your content in a way that if your viewership's down, your mood goes down, and then you feel this tightness. I don't know how to describe it, but you feel kind of oh god, you're trying to put on a show, but people can kind of tell you're faking it, right? Even if you're trying really hard, people can see through that. So if your mood is too connected to how your viewership is during the stream, just turn it off. Look at it as more of an analytical thing after your stream to see how your content's doing, how a game is doing for you. But I would try not to be too focused, at how it's doing while you're live.
Yeah. Especially in that affiliate space, there are going to be highs and lows, right? You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, you're going to have a day where viewership sucks and no one rated you. You're going to have days where everyone's there and you're getting all the raids, right? You just can't, like you said, you can't let it affect your mood. And I've been guilty of letting it affect my mood a lot. My mods know I'm always crying in the background. But the biggest thing I would say to that, always be working on something new. Never get stuck in the rut of unless it's just working, never get stuck in the rut of just doing the same old thing. Cause you never want your stream to feel ho-hum. It's Tuesday, we're doing the thing we always do. Always be working on something, whether it's a little event or something you got planned for the Discord or maybe a community night or something. always be working on something for your streaming. There's so much to it. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just sitting on your butt playing a video game and maybe there's people to talk to. Like if you are, I hate the phrase content creation, I really do. But like you are creating things and you want to always be working on something and making something new, whether that's, hey, I've got some new emotes coming, or hey, got some new overlays coming to kind of refresh the stream. I changed my name, I changed my logo, I've done a refresh even only in a year into streaming. Always be working on new things, and because you're going to have those spikes and valleys and peaks and valleys and all that, but just continue to weather the storm, continue to, again, pay attention to what's going on in your space, and you'll find momentum at some point. And that's the biggest thing, is like trying to build a path of momentum where things are going up, 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 and up.
Nice. So this one is a topic suggestion from Twitch streamer Bloody. She says, succeeding on Twitch is often a combination of luck and being in the right position to take advantage of luck. Can you share a moment of luck that you experienced that helped advance your career?
Hi, Bloody. I know Bloody. She's great. I think the biggest thing you can really hope for on Twitch as a Twitch streamer is to hope for like this little bit of luck, right? Everybody wants that, the phone call that just says like, now you're famous. But it happens in such strange, interesting ways and can happen just like that on the platform, right? For a lot of role players, it's having an interaction with a popular role player. For a lot of esports players, it's like being, in queue or like in a lobby with, some popular, famous esports player. For me, it was meeting other role players in roleplay servers who had huge followings and not really even knowing who they were, because we're all role players, and just having like a ton of people in my chat suddenly like, oh, you were so cool on such and such a person's stream. Like, oh, wow. Thanks. That kind of thing can happen at any time. So as long as you're doing like consistent collab content with other people, it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my little bit of luck that comes to mind is back in the Tumblr thing, which sounds so silly, but like being followed by a very popular Animal Crossing blog who started sharing a lot of my content, gave me a lot of exposure and I gained a lot of followers. And, it sounds kind of silly to bring that up, but like that really is, the butterfly on one side of the world that caused a tsunami on the other side. Like it really led to, growing followers on Tumblr who encouraged me to make YouTube videos, who led me to start streaming on YouTube, who led me to start streaming on Twitch. And the first Twitch streamer I ever found was actually from Animal Crossing Tumblr as well. Sarah Key, used to be Keyblade Sarah. She's how I found Twitch. And yeah, it can be such a small thing that like snowballs over time as well, that you might not realize is such a huge stroke of luck at the time, but yeah, you realize it later down the road.
That's awesome. Dylan, what about you?
Yeah, it was funny. Like when I first started streaming, like my first 2-3 weeks into streaming, and I had just gotten affiliated and all that. Still, I don't even know if I had 100 followers at that time. The game that I was playing on PlayStation went free to play on PlayStation, right? And so the next thing you know, that happens, and as like I'm still like a baby streamer with like a terrible webcam and all that, I had like over like hundreds of viewers. Like the very next day, the game went free because everybody on the console was rushing to watch streamers like on the console, and so like that was a really great break. Like it came out like a week before I started, week after I started streaming, that this was going to happen, and it ended up like driving like viewers and engagement to my channel that I literally had just started, and that was like a really good break that allowed me to kind of create again a foundation that allowed me to succeed early on, and that was incredibly lucky. Like it just so happened that game went free to play. It was wild.
That's amazing. Those are great stories, and I think it's really valuable because people just see these big streamers, and especially when we do panels like this, like it's good to acknowledge that it's not just purely we got to where we are because of hard work. Like, yes, that's a huge part of it, obviously, but there are factors where you're doing the right things and then you get noticed, right? You finally get noticed in some way, or the timing is right, or you happen to be in the right place at the right time. Like, these are all things that can happen. You just have to keep positioning yourself in a way to take advantage of those opportunities that come. So this is a fun little question for you guys, and we'll try to keep this one short. If you were to start streaming today, would you pick Twitch as your platform?
I would, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I can't think of any other platform I would start on. Facebook, no. YouTube, no. YouTube is just, it's just geared for videos. That's what they're good at. Yeah, Twitch is just the streaming platform for me, and I guess I might be biased because I've been streaming on it for so long, but yeah, I can't imagine anywhere else I would think to start streaming.
The only one that I would consider, like if I was just starting out, like right now, the only other one that I would consider is YouTube, because it's such a giant platform, and the gaming space, as far as like the YouTube live streaming space, is still very much fertile ground. You're talking about a gigantic audience and there's really not that many people streaming on it. Like, go look at any like game on Twitch, and then go look what it looks like on YouTube, and it's staggering how little people are streaming on YouTube. So I would just say, yeah, Twitch still, I feel like, has all the bells and whistles in place, like to create a community and all that. And YouTube's chat features and all that are not ideal, in my opinion. But I still think, like, if there was an alternative to Twitch, I firmly believe that there's very much fertile ground for YouTube gaming, because you're talking about a gigantic platform that doesn't have a lot of people streaming on it. So I would consider that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. What do you think Twitch looks like in 3 years? Like, what do you think even streaming looks like in 3 years from now?
IRL. And straight up, I think IRL is going to continue to grow. I think IRL has so much potential, and it's done nothing but grow. There's no reason to think that IRL is not going to become where most of the growth happens on Twitch. I think you should, if you're a streamer now, you should prepare for the next few years to be about IRL stuff. Especially now that we're all coming out of, a pandemic. I think IRL is going to be big.
Mm-hmm.
Any other ideas?
I think we'll continue to see like big companies and like more and more, like as we saw like the pandemic, all these celebrities and A-listers and all that, or musicians coming to Twitch. I think you'll continue to see Twitch continue to go mainstream in that sense, like people like Ninja being on The Masked Singer of all things. Like, that's like, now Twitch streamers are no longer this like little corner pocket of culture. Like, that's actually starting to bubble up into like what is popular culture. And I think that is the next big evolution, is just seeing how that continues to grow, like how Twitch continues to infiltrate like the popular culture amongst people who don't know what Twitch is now. Like, the way everybody knows what YouTube is, but not everyone knows what Twitch is. And I think that's the next step, is Twitch getting to that place of like of cultural ubiquity where it's just everywhere. I think is the next big thing, whatever that means for the platform and like who comes to the platform.
Yeah, I can't think of anything to add to those. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with both of those. I feel like Twitch as a platform is gonna be one of those things where the big creators are just, they become like bigger and bigger, and they become, they like Dylan mentioned, that household name recognition, right? It's like pretty much like Twitch is kind of defined by those big creators, like Pokimane and Ninja and Tim the Tatman and everyone else at the top. And for smaller creators, I'm a little worried about Twitch in 3 years. Like, I feel like they really need to make strides to improve discoverability like drastically for all the other creators, and not make it so lenient on just like viewership numbers. Otherwise, I think it's just becoming a really, really tough place for creators that are smaller. Like, it's harder to succeed. I think there's so much, like we talked about, like there's so much pressure to do other things outside of streaming. Like, there's so much work and marketing that you have to do on other platforms that if you're succeeding on those other platforms, it almost makes sense to just stay there and continue to grow those. And then Twitch is like becomes kind of like not your dominant form of content creation. You know, I think that short form content is growing. That's very powerful. And I think that streaming will become more secondary for a lot of creators. That's my prediction in 3 years. So, all right. We talked about a lot of things on this show. What is a take-home point that you would want to give to aspiring streamers who are getting started on Twitch today?
I mean, we've already covered this, but I feel like it's so important to like reiterate to make content of things that you enjoy. Don't just make content of what's popular. If what's popular is something you enjoy, then, you know, sure. But don't just give in to the hype and the popularity. Make content you enjoy, find what works for you, and stick with it. You know, something you enjoy, something that you find works for you, stick with it. Keep making content of that, even if you mix other things in and experiment. Yeah, don't ever get to a place where you're making content of something that might be working from you, but you're miserable doing. You know, keep the focus on what makes you feel good.
Yeah, I like that.
My advice to someone who wants to start streaming today is don't. Thank you, everybody.
Get off the show.
I'm Order Dylan. No, honestly, no. What I would say is if you're coming to Twitch like for the first time, don't just come here to stream. I said it earlier, but Twitch is a viewing platform beyond just being a streaming platform. Go be a viewer. Like, go be a viewer, find communities, find streams. Don't just, you know, watch their stream just to learn how to stream, but like actually be a viewer. You will learn so much that will help you when you start streaming eventually. You will learn so much just by watching streams, being a member of communities, make friends. Like, there's no excuse for you streaming and not having any viewers, because that means no one knows who you are. And that shouldn't be the case. Like, go join communities, be in the Discord, be a member of a community. You might even mod for someone, right? Like, I can't imagine like starting streaming like back when I joined Twitch in 2017, and like no one would have been watching me, but I ended up being someone who moderated for this awesome person to my left, Lowco. I'd pointed right.
I'm above you on the stream. Just
am I? Okay, I'm looking at the Zoom. Okay. And anywho, and that really helped me, because when I started streaming, people actually would come over, and I was able to get affiliated in like a week, right? Because people knew who I was. And so be a viewer. First and foremost, before you start streaming, be a viewer, learn Twitch, have a game plan for what you want to do. Nowadays, you're gonna have to get off to a better start in terms of your production quality and all that. You have to be way more advanced than any of the veterans that are here right now. You're going to have to be way more ahead of the curve than they were, because it's just so competitive right now. But I would say, with all that, I know it sounds like really like I don't even want to do this anymore. Like, just be a viewer first. Be a viewer, absorb streaming, absorb Twitch, and then when you're ready to start streaming, you'll be in a much better place to succeed.
Well said. I like it. Nikatine, what about you?
If you are planning on becoming a Twitch streamer, you should understand that the first few times you stream are going to be really rough. They're going to be really rough. You might not have anybody come in. You might only have trolls come in. People are going to say really mean things to you. The unfortunate reality is that there are going to be people who exist in this world who do really nothing else but try to figure out like what they think is going to like cut you down to your soul. And they're going to try and message you that stuff in your Twitch chat. And you're going to have to, the first time you see it is going to be like a terrifying experience. Like, oh my God, what on earth, what's happening? And then the next time is going to be better. And then the next time is going to be better. And then eventually you're going to get to a point where it doesn't faze you anymore. You'll become numb. Just know that it's going to happen. And you need to, unfortunately, you need to be okay with handling that. You need to be like in an appropriate space mentally to be able to handle it and say, just gracefully move forward. So if you're going to get into Twitch streaming, just understand that you're going to face harassment or trolling quite a bit. Have thick skin.
Yeah. And that definitely takes time. And I mean, with streaming in general, like just go and do it. Like, just like don't try to make like the most perfect stream. I know we give a lot of advice here and it's a lot of amazing advice, but like you don't, like we mentioned earlier, you don't have to apply it all at once and have like the most perfect stream, before you've even started. Like just give it a try. You'll learn a lot on the way. You really don't have much to lose by just trying things out and learning and actually doing the stream thing. I think also a big thing that we talked about today is just working smarter, not harder. You don't have to be live 6 days a week, 12 hours a day to grow as a streamer. There's actually a lot of things that you can do outside of streaming that takes far less time if you cut down some of those hours and use them on things like repurposing your content for other platforms, growing Twitter, networking on Twitter, just doing things like outside the stream to market your content, because that's like a big thing. Collaborating and developing relationships with other streamers, nurturing your community on Discord. These are all things that are going to be a much better use of your time than just being live for 12 hours at a time. So be smart about the way that you spend your time, because none of us have an unlimited amount of it. And just try to just take in things here and there, and keep applying new things to your stream. And and also check out Streamer Square, because we have a lot of free guides on our site that you can learn from. Just saying. So check that out. But yeah, so other than that, that's gonna do it for us today. I want to do some shout outs before we go. Thank you to our panelists for joining us today on the show. I know this was like kind of like a huge crash course on streaming, so I know it's a lot, but I think we did a good job of like just covering a ton of different things. So thank you all so much for your wisdom and your various experiences. I think it's super valuable to get a bunch of different experiences. So let's start with Nikatine this time. Nikatine, shout yourself out and what
Hello,
you're up
my name
to.
is.
You're ready for it.
I got so excited. That's the other tip. You always gotta have a thing you're gonna say about yourself. Be okay with talking about yourself. My name is Nikatine. I do a lot of roleplay streams, like Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead, and also tabletop. And if you like that stuff, then head over to twitch.tv/Nikatine and give me a follow. And if you don't like that stuff, then follow me anyway. You can find me on Twitter at Nikatine Prime. Follow there too. I stream every day.
Nice. Sorry, Dylan, your turn.
Yeah, I am Dylan. The Order of Dylan. I'm the Order of Dylan on all platforms. So you can find me on twitch.tv/TheOrderOfDylan. I am partnered with Knockout City, the game from Velen Studios, published by EA. So we're going to be running, actually, I'll be streaming in an hour. We're going to be running drops and giveaways and all that kind of stuff. We have a lot of fun in my channel. If you like laughing, if you like occasionally decent gameplay, I've got most of that for you. And we also have a really cool community that we're trying to build, and I would love for you, yes, you, to be a part of it. So go find us at the Order of Dylan, and hope to see you there.
Awesome. And Misha.
Yeah, I am MischaCrossing on all platforms. MischaCrossing on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Those are the big ones. And I stream a lot of Nintendo and story-driven adventure games, and sometimes horror games, specifically Dead by Daylight. Right now, I love a lot, and I'm going to be streaming some here soon. And I'm also getting into the D&D and tabletop RPG community a lot right now. I have season 2 of our D&D show From Dusk Till Dark coming back on Tuesday at twitch.tv/Vanna. We're playing through Rime of the Frost Maiden, and yeah, season 2 is coming, and I'm excited, and starting to do some D&D content on my own channel as well. Yeah, really cozy and queer, and would love to have you.
Nice. And I'm your host, Lowco. You're here on my channel already, so make sure to hit the follow button. I do a lot of content like this, and I want to do more things like this in the future. So if you like talking about streaming or learning about it, covering, the latest news in streaming and gaming and adjacent industries, like we do all of that here. I also do some gaming as well. I've been really addicted to Mario Golf randomly. I don't even know how or why, but I just keep thinking about Mario Golf. But yeah, so I do play games here as well. But yeah, we do a lot of chatting here on the channel, so make sure to give it a follow. So thank you guys so much for watching today. If you guys enjoyed the content today, you know, make sure to follow our guests and check us out on the Twitters. We're all over there, so make sure to give us a follow. And let me know if you enjoyed this content. And so, you know, I will do more stuff like this in the future. I will be setting you guys up with a raid, I'm sure, as I close out here. So stay tuned for that. And otherwise, I'll see you all here tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern time with some chatting and catching up. A lot of things to talk about in the last week. So we'll be going into some of that tomorrow. So thank you all for hanging out, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.